Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the podcast of ultimate friendship. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Johananon.
It's me, Casualty CDG. I'm excited to be here on this podcast of Ultimate Friendship.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse Drew Munhausen, and we spared no expense bringing you this podcast of ultimate friendship. Would you say?
It's true. Yeah, we did spare no expense. Each and every one of us went and saw a movie on opening weekend. So literally, we spared no expense. We've all paid a price this weekend.
Let's jump into that statement because we all saw Jurassic World Dominion.
Why?
The sixth movie in the Jurassic Park franchise. But before we dive into that, let's talk Jurassic Park a little bit. Let's talk dinosaurs.
I thought we were supposed to watch Top Gun.
I mean, I've seen it, so I've still got it fresh. I would have gone to see it again.
I didn't watch Jurassic World.
I see. I know you can't pull one of these jokes on me again.
Well,
I know for a fact that you saw it.
But if we're doing this, then I also sort of watched Top Gun because I watched that fat British comic that isn't Ricky Gervais, the one who has the terrible night show.
James Corden?
James Corden. I was going to guess James Corden.
Oh.
There's a special. There's like a 25-minute special where James Corden hangs out with Tom Cruise, and they go flying in a couple different planes. And they sing and dance together. So that's kind of like watching the new Top Gun, I'd say.
I need to go watch. I'm not the biggest James Corden fan in general, but that sounds like a clip that I would enjoy for the Tom Cruise of it all.
Yeah, no, it's actually I don't care for either one of them, and I watched the whole thing.
Well, you guys, we're what 2 minutes, 3 minutes into this, and you all have already managed to derail us, so I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
let's talk Jurassic Park. Let's the OG Jurassic Park is pretty it's a bona fide classic. We'll just put it that way. Very highly regarded, well liked, and the sequels are all very varying levels of. I'd say they're all successful financially, but as far as the way that they're relevant or that people like them, I'd say very varying degrees. Where are y'all at on Jurassic Park as a franchise in general?
I don't care about Jurassic Park as a franchise. I know, like, Dr. Grant's name, and that might be it. Like, he might be the only character whose name I know. There's Jeff Goldblum and there's Chris Pratt, but I don't know their character names. I don't, they're not super memorable to me. And the story doesn't.
Malcolm.
And the story doesn't particularly matter in Jurassic Park either. Like, you don't have to have seen the first ones for the next ones to make sense. So I would say, like, as a franchise, it doesn't really strike me in the franchises.
I would argue against that statement, but that's okay. In the World Series, well, no, I would definitely argue against that statement.
Well, I mean, to give Gary a little bit of credibility to what he's saying, the first Jurassic Park movie, Jurassic Park, came out when I was 4 years old, so I was a little young. I did not go see it in theaters or anything like that. I think I did catch it on TV or something within the couple years following, but it was not. I had 2 older sisters, so it's not like I had older brothers that were watching Jurassic Park all the time. Like, it just wasn't in the rotation. But I did love dinosaurs in an early age, and so when The Lost World came out, the sequel, I did see that one in theaters and had the VHS of it and watched it repeatedly. And it's not, if you go back and revisit it, it's nowhere nearly as good as the original, but that was the one that I attached to as a kid. I watched The Lost World all the time with very little exposure to Jurassic Park before that. I've seen Jurassic Park now probably 20 times, but at that age, So, I mean, I liked Jurassic World plenty without having seen Jurassic Park a whole lot.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Jurassic World is self-contained, and Jurassic. You don't have to see Jurassic Park to understand Jurassic World. That's true. I thought you were saying that you don't have to see any of the previous movies to understand like the next one, which I
So
do.
I do think that you could go now and watch Jurassic World Dominion, and there's nothing that you gain from having watched the previous movies.
Say, I mean, if you haven't seen a single previous Jurassic movie at all, like, why are there dinosaurs? Why are they all over Earth? Why are
It
they,
covers that
like,
immediately in the beginning of the movie. It does like
like,
a 3 minute wrap up. Like, here's what happened, boom, boom, boom. Also, this girl's a clone.
like, it
Like
does.
it gets you where you need to go, and I think that that's kind of that's what I mean by it doesn't really hit me in my franchise my franchise tickles, because I don't need to go back and watch them before, and I don't have this urge to go back and watch the franchise again. I'm not devoted to the characters at all to the same level as the Marvel franchises for sure. I don't think Jurassic Park has that. When I think of a franchise,
So,
Marvel. If Marvel's a franchise, Star Wars is a big franchise.
so Jurassic Park is a interesting franchise. It has movies that are, up and down on the spectrum. The first two, fantastic. They're great. They're based on books. I don't think the rest of them are. I read both the books. I watched all the movies, obviously. Like I'm a big fan. And yeah, the books are better. I know everyone says it, but they are for
I've
sure.
never heard anyone say that before.
Yeah, it's to your point, Jahan. There's Jurassic Park, then The Lost World, and then Jurassic Park 3. And I think Jurassic Park 3, I think there's a lot of people that actually look back on it pretty fondly, but at the time, I think it was kind of, definitely
It is an enjoyable movie, but it gets pretty silly, and that becomes a trend in the franchise for sure.
it is silly. It's a quick 90 minutes. Like it's pretty short and easy to get through, and it's cheesy, but it is kind of fun to go revisit it. I
It is.
agree. But yeah, I think after that, I think people were kind of like, okay, this is done. And so when they were bringing it back, because there's a long period of time between when Jurassic Park 3 came out and when Jurassic World came out, where basically Spielberg kind of gave the keys of the franchise to Colin Trevorrow. I know Spielberg didn't direct 3, but still. Yeah, I mean, okay, so interesting. I was just curious to kind of see where you all were at. Let's, you talked a little bit about the history with those, but we didn't talk as much about the World trilogy. Where y'all at on Jurassic World? Are you fans of at least the first one?
The first one, I feel it's got they rehatch what you want. It's the park again. Yay! It goes wrong. Of course it does. Can't contain genetic power. Blah blah blah. It's fun. It's cool. The characters are kind of iffy, but it is a decent movie for sure. I like that they actually have a full on genetically modified super beast, and it comes out later that it has raptor blood, which is why it's able to command the raptors, which is kind of silly, but at the same time it's interesting. It honestly, I liked it better like the second time. The first time I was kind of like, bleh, you know.
I also liked a lot of the park aesthetics they did with Jurassic World. Some of like the great room stuff when you go in with the skeletons and the computers and stuff around. It just felt like a big tourist resort. I thought they did a great job creating Jurassic World instead of Jurassic Park. I think it had like almost like the SeaWorld type of aquatic tanks as well. There was a lot of stuff that was really cool in Jurassic World that I liked. It brought me into that world.
It was
I'm with y'all. I think the world building in it was cool. I think there's a lot of videos you can look into on YouTube that dig into the writing and the characters in that movie and how terrible they all are, and all of those videos are extremely justified. Like I recommend seeking those out because they can be kind of enlightening. But as a piece of blockbuster filmmaking, like I think it's pretty fun to watch because you just kind of you glaze over. You just are there for dinosaurs and the theme park, and from that, I think you get what you want out of it. If you really dig into the themes and characters, there's a lot that can be picked apart, but I think it's a fun movie. Fallen Kingdom, the sequel, definitely less so. I remember not being a huge fan of it when it came out in theaters, and I actually rewatched it yesterday before seeing Dominion today. So, and I liked it less so than I did even back then. I think that it barely even functions as a movie. Like from a story standpoint, it barely makes any sense. It kind of doesn't know what it wants to be between you get the first half of the dinosaurs be, the volcano and the island and taking the dinosaurs away and all that. And then to the kind of haunted house section in the latter half with the dinosaur auction and everything. And Gary, you mentioned the clone girl. Like I forgot everything about that. I forgot that when the little girl showed up in my rewatch, I was like, oh yeah, she's a clone. But I mean, before rewatching it, I totally forgot about that whole storyline.
Yeah, that almost seems like a secondary storyline that is just shoehorned into multiple movies. Like,
So,
you know what I mean? Like it's like they never wanted it, but they also knew they couldn't get rid of it.
so like, yeah, definitely. They went like full Resident Evil, man. Like the secret lab underneath the mansion, and like the mysterious fires. It is like it's like straight up Resident Evil 1.
It was the second Jurassic World is so bad that I was legitimately surprised that the two of you wanted to see this on opening weekend. Like, following the second one and another movie starring the same people doing the same old thing, I was surprised you guys said let's do this.
Dinosaurs, Gary.
I like dinosaurs.
But we're gonna have to talk about the dinosaurs in this movie. I went for the dinosaurs, and I was disappointed.
I've seen some funny Twitter narratives too, because it really seems like a lot of people were just like, yeah, the reviews are bad, but I don't really know. I don't have anything else to do this weekend, and dinosaurs. So yeah, I'll go see it. It's on track right now to make around $142 million this weekend, which would make it the highest grossing opening weekend for a non-superhero movie since the pandemic era began. So that's where we're at now. So people do show up.
Superhero movies are the bar. That's awesome.
I will say that the movie theater that I went to today had a lot of families. And I think that if you had like tallied the head count, there were probably more children in the theater than adults. And by children, I'll say under 13.
Yeah, I went to an early showing. I went to an 11:50 a.m. showing, and the theater was already pretty packed. Which I do a lot of daytime. I like to go on the weeknights a lot, but going today, I was like, I'll go to an early showing Saturday before it's crowded. And no, it was pretty busy already.
I ordered my ticket Friday while I was at work for this morning at like noon. There were no seats together anywhere. Like I could not sit next to an empty seat. And by the time like it happened, there were no empty seats except in like the front. It was packed, nuts to butts, like straight up.
Wow,
it was crazy.
So yeah, so people like their dinosaurs.
It's dinosaurs, man. It's I don't know, but was it though? Was it dinosaurs?
Well, let's move into it, because so before we give any spoilers and before we even dive into plot, anything like that, just tell me in general what your thoughts were of this movie. Gary, you start.
It was better than I expected. I had, because of Jurassic World 2 and because of I'm exactly like you called the haunted house setting. Everything I had said I loved about the first Jurassic World, the big settings, the rolly mobiles, the whole park, they got rid of that in the second one, and they put you in a haunted house and a secret lab. And so I was not excited about the third one, but there's potential to go anywhere, to do anything, because there's dinosaurs all over the world. So I thought it was going to be dog crap, and it was not dog crap. It was better than the second one.
It was people crap.
It was. I'll give it a. I'll probably never watch it again, and I'll probably never tell anybody to watch it. And so with that, I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Jahan, how about you?
Uh,
General thoughts.
General thoughts. So, it was better than the second one, for sure, but it was like 10 times sillier. It was ridiculous. This movie was ridiculous. The plot was a mess. But and they relied heavily on star power, and
The writing was a mess too. The dialogue from
dialogue
the stars,
was crap.
like you said, they brought in star power, but everything they said all sounded like fortune cookie, hashed up wisdom bull crap.
But like
it
the
was
kind
just,
of
ugh.
yeah, and like just it just sounded everything they said sounded so stupid and pretentious and like trying too hard. And it was just I didn't. It wasn't good. It was very stupid. But it was entertaining. It was entertaining,
Maybe
and it had a
maybe
lot.
when
It
it
had a lot
comes
of cool
out,
moments.
you should just have people mute it and then like listen to Spotify while you watch dinosaurs. Maybe that would make it better if you just didn't have
That's
to hear
the
about
other
the plot
thing.
at all.
That's the other thing. What dinosaurs? They weren't in the movie nearly enough, in my opinion. There was a shocking lack of dinosaurs in the
There's
movie.
So during a lot of what Gary was saying earlier, I was like over the top nodding my head because I'm in agreement with a lot of the writing. So I'm actually, it's funny because y'all were saying you like this one better than Fallen Kingdom, the second Jurassic World movie, and I actually rewatched that one, liked it less than I remembered, and then liked this one even less than that one.
Ooh.
Wow.
And I think that a lot of that's because of what you both have been saying, is that the dinosaurs are loose in the world. That is part of the setting of this movie. We saw that at the end of the last one, so going into this one that they're free, and that is the setting. That is not the plot. And nothing really in the plot of this movie has to do with the dinosaurs at all. There are two
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
There are
has
two
to do with the
major
dinosaurs.
plot lines. One has to do with the girl that's a human clone, and the other has to do, and I kid you not, and I'm not going into like ultra specific spoilers or anything, but I feel like people need to know this to like paint a accurate portrayal of the movie if you're on the fence of seeing this. The main plot has to do with genetically modified giant locusts, and it's a Jurassic World movie. Like,
does.
what
Um,
kind of bonkers decision making goes into making a new Jurassic World movie that the biggest plot, which granted, you're bringing back the three OG actors from the original movie, right? Because you've got Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum back in this one, and most of their plot has to deal with the locusts and science labs and things. And I'm thinking,
all
like,
of their
if
plot.
I'm Sam Neill and you all hand me this script and you're like, hey, we want you to come back for for this Jurassic World movie, and here's what we have you doing, I'd be like, thanks, but no thanks. I mean, hopefully he got paid a nice paycheck.
Their relationship was so flat on screen. They have no chemistry whatsoever, and it was so hard watching him and her act like they were in love. It was just horribly wrenching. They do not have it.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. There were some set pieces in the movie. So I do think there were some of the big set pieces in this one that were better than those in Fallen Kingdom. Some in this one that had to do with dinosaurs and some dinosaur encounters that were fun to watch, but they were truly just like connecting, little action scenes to connect to the overall plot that I just didn't care about at all.
When your movie is set in dinosaurs run wild on the planet, and then what you do is take us to a secure facility that houses dinosaurs. Then you've taken us right back to Dinosaur Park or Dinosaur World or
Yes,
Dinosaur Prison or whatever else.
exactly.
So they didn't do what they could have done.
They undid it.
And they just had this one small montage in the beginning that was like, here's what it's like if dinosaurs are out in the world. And then they take you to a closed park the entire 2.5 hours that follow.
Absolutely. And that
I
was
wouldn't
like
have done that.
that was like the coolest part of the movie was the beginning where you're seeing the dinosaurs. See, my one of my main issues here, right, as you guys are talking, it was like they're like, I don't know how dinosaurs could cause an ecological crisis. We need to make big locusts. Like, what? You have dinosaurs that are destroying the world, and you have to like create this other problem out of nowhere to really up the stakes. You know what I mean? Because now there's trouble. It's so
The
stupid.
wacky, hard to comprehend plot of the main company doing genetic testing on dinosaurs to grow crops that the locusts don't eat, but the locusts eat the other crops.
Yeah, and
All of that
we'll
stuff
get
you
into some
find
of that
out
here
you
in a
find out
bit.
in like the first 5 minutes. So don't worry, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah, they're
It's
right.
just it's just so dumb. And like it's not the greedy billionaire at the end who's doing it all for money. But then why the fuck would he sell seeds that only don't get eaten by dinosaurs? It's so full of loopholes. I told my wife, I was talking to Annie, and I was like, it's dinosaurs, so we have to set some modicum of realism aside, and we all accepted that when we walk into the theater.
Yeah.
But this movie was just so shot full of holes and leaking all over the place that it's almost hard for me. Like I said, I'm not sure I could recommend it to anybody.
It was like they developed this plot in like 3 separate rooms, came together and stitched it up, man. It was crazy.
It really does. I totally agree. I think that one of the things y'all were touching on is at the beginning you kind of see this overview and how dinosaurs are have how they've integrated into the world. And while some of those visuals were kind of cheesy, that was the stuff that I found the most fun or interesting, like seeing flying pterodactyl like dinosaurs nesting at the top of the World Trade Center. Like, yeah, give me that kind of stuff. Like, that's the type of stuff that I want to see, is how, or dinosaurs rampaging in suburban neighborhoods. Like, to me, that's the entertaining stuff. And instead you're removed completely from that. And I get it. Jurassic Park. So the science has always been a big part of these movies because obviously they found a way to clone dinosaurs, and that's where it all comes from. But that has just gotten so out of control by this one, by what they're using the science to do now that doesn't even have to do with dinosaurs. And I'm like, okay, you've lost me.
It was one step away from hybridizing like dinosaur people. Like, that's how dumb it got. It was like that close to jumping that gap. Like, it was bad. And also, beyond all those problems, right? The sheer, like, I understand, right? Tom Cruise, hanging from a helicopter to stop Henry Cavill from blasting a nuke, crazy. Hard to believe. You know what I mean? Jason Bourne taking on like 30 people. He doesn't take on 30 people because all of their pants fall around their ankles randomly. You know what I mean? The luck in this movie, the sheer happenstance, non-stop. I've never seen a group of people so good at finding each other in massive landscapes before. It's so crazy, man. It's like they could tell. It was the weirdest thing, man.
It's literally impossible to get shot by a bullet. It's not a thing that can be done. Not even if you're in like an 8x8 warehouse full of gangsters and raptors, and everyone's blasting assault rifles. Not does anyone. No one gets even grazed by a bullet.
There's a lot of that going on, and like when we start getting into the spoilers, I'm gonna mention a couple other things. But like, holy crap, I was just like, really, like everyone's okay? Like, what are you doing?
One of the things I think the Jurassic World movies have really stumbled with is, if you go back and watch the original Jurassic Park and the way that it builds to the confrontation with the raptors and hiding from them. I mean, the raptors are truly horrifying in that, and especially with how many, like how many real props and things that they use and animatronics and that physical props, for these dinosaurs and not just CG. It makes them that much more scary. And so now you've got this Jurassic World franchise where Blue, this raptor that's been trained, to kind of somewhat obey humans or communicate with them, has been a recurring dinosaur throughout this franchise. And to me, with having that and having raptors that can be good, I understand from a writing standpoint, and when you're developing the first Jurassic World movie, like why seems like a good idea, and it is kind of neat to see back then. But now we've gotten to the point where it's just desensitized me to raptors in these, where like they're not that scary, and some of the dinosaur encounters I think are less scary because of it. That being said, I think there were some encounters in the movie that I thought were fun. Like there's one specifically that's on like a frozen lake that I thought was kind of fun.
That was kind of cool.
There's one that involves a jungle and a character hiding underwater that I thought was like kind of visually cool and had some neat aspects. So like there were things like that I thought were fun, but they were all just to get from point A to point B of the stuff that I really didn't care about.
Yeah. What those two scenes had in common was that the dinosaur was taken seriously. It was a danger. A lot of that, I noticed that too, Drew, like a lot of like they're just not, it's like everyone, it's like it's an RPG and everyone's just too high level for this shit now. You know what I mean? Like they're like, that's a low level raptor. I'll worry about, when the T-Rex shows up. Psych, T-Rex shows up. We don't care. Like they disrespected the dinosaurs' threat levels, like, across the board. It's no longer a horror movie. You're absolutely right. The first movie, they were scary. You know what I mean? The scene with, Samuel L. Jackson. They eat Samuel L. Jackson, Drew.
And obviously the first movie is iconic, and at the time nobody had really seen anything like that before, with dinosaurs being so realistically imagined on the screen. It had never happened. But there's times in both Fallen Kingdom, the last movie, and in this movie, I think Bryce Dallas Howard's the one that says it in Fallen Kingdom, and Laura Dern says it in this one, where they come up close with the dinosaur that's not a threatening dinosaur, and they're excited to see it, and they say, wow, you just never get used to this. That line is in multiple of these movies, and I'm sitting watching it going, boy, am I used to this at this point, and there's nothing thrilling about this. Like, I'm become really desensitized to this with y'all cramming this franchise down my throat. Not that, I mean, I willingly go see these movies on my own, so I can't really say that, but it kind of feels that way in a sense.
I've seen all the movies, I read all the books, I played all the games. I'm a fan. I won't argue that I'm not. And, I might even watch this movie again when it's like at home. It was entertaining. But once we
dinosaurs on screen are cool, and the fact that the Jurassic Park series is really the only mega film franchise we have that has dinosaurs in it is a shame. Like, somebody else do something creative with dinosaurs if these movies have kind of run their course. I like dinosaurs. Not Velocipaster.
Talking about disrespecting a dinosaur's threat level.
Well, so we've kind of dug into it a little bit here. Should we get into some of the spoilers now? I can mark it because I'm not gonna go into a plot, beat by beat summary of this movie by any means, but there are some things that I wanted to point out. So spoilers at this point, which some of these are things you can kind of assume are going to happen, but there is a point in this movie where
a main character dies.
No. I was like, did I miss something? No, none of the main characters die. But no, there's a part where, so there's kind of two parallel plot lines in the movie. One that involves the OGs, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum, and one that has the newer characters, with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt. And there's a point in the movie where they all finally meet up together. And it's this moment for me, where the music kind of swells and it does this thing like, oh, wow, your old heroes are meeting your new heroes. And to me, it felt like they were really trying to make this be a big emotional beat in the movie. And it just did nothing for me. Like, it made me want to roll my eyes. We're in the year of this happening. We're like, No Way Home did this very successfully with the 3 Spider-Men. Ghostbusters did this absolutely like an abhorrent, terrible
Ghostbusters
job
Afterlife was
doing
one
this.
of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Fight me.
The end nostalgia, play in that one is so bad. In this one, it's not as bad as that, but there's a moment where I'm like, man, this is not giving me the emotional payoff that I think that they're trying to get out of me. But then in the scene that followed that, there were some callbacks to the older movies that I thought were kind of fun.
Some of the nostalgia played very well. Yeah, some of it was good. Some of it was enjoyable, but a lot of it was grating.
Speaking of some of the nostalgia being a little grating, I thought there were some comedy beats that were the same way, where there was definitely supposed to be a joke, a beat, and a side, and nobody laughed, nobody chuckled, and you could almost hear like the in the silence of the theater. It felt like there were more than a handful of jokes that just plummeted.
I was sitting next to an inappropriate timing laughter person, and like they laughed at really weird times. I had the same situation in The Green Knight. Like, they would laugh, and I'm like, what? What did I miss? Like a dinosaur would be like, "Rawr!" and they'd be like, ha ha ha, and it's like, what the. I also had some people. I've never had this happen to me during a movie.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot the theater experience. How was your theater experience, everyone?
It's true. Yeah, I've never had this specific thing happen to me. So first off, I had 2 people sitting 2 seats down, talking in normal speaking voices, not whispering. Fuck you. And then the guy finds a meme about a dinosaur and starts showing people on his phone. Never in my life. I don't know, man. The theater's gotten so weird.
There were kids behind me. It was a pair of 10-year-olds over my right shoulder who had something to say after every single line, after every cut, after every camera transition. They were asking their dad if they could go get ice cream after the movie, just like you said, straight up, full volume, just talking. And the dad didn't say anything to stop them, so I didn't want to scream at the kids, all right? So I'm harnessing my anger. Everybody knows how my anger and anxiety can get, right? So we'll stop, bring it down. Then over my left shoulder, I've got these 2 13 or 14-year-old girls who are just meh, 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 the whole time talking about boys and what boys like them, and talking about Evan and how Evan's too clingy and no one likes him. And they're just going on and on and on, talking and talking. Then, Jahan, this family comes in, like a 10 or 12-person family. They come in 20 minutes late. Okay, they sit down on both of the front rows because there's no spots left. The baby starts screaming for 3 minutes straight. And I am this close to just screaming, get that thing the F out of here. Shut it up. It's shake it until it stops. But it stopped.
Don't do that, please.
We hear it fresh out the box. Do not advocate for the shaking of babies.
It stopped, okay? But then, the straw that broke the camel's back, bro. This guy, 5 seats to my right, just turns his phone light on full blast and starts looking around the seats for something. And a minute and a half, he's just looking around the seats. He's up, flashing everybody with the light. It's just bright as hell. And so finally I'm like, turn the fucking light off! And then Annie, grabbed me and pulled my arm. She was like, it's all right. And I'm like, Jesus, man. And the guy next to me was like, yeah, man, we're trying to watch a movie. Let us enjoy it. Turn that light off. I'm like, oh, thank God it's not just me. Yeah, that's. Wish I could have streamed this one from home.
Well, it's funny, I didn't have as the experience with the crowd like you all did, but I had technical issues at my screening that was kind of scary. So I was at an 11:50 showing. At 11:58, they still hadn't even started the trailers. We're still looking at a blank screen. So people are starting to get restless. I heard it got to be almost 15 minutes late, and one girl's like, and they're still going to show us 20 minutes of previews. Like, there's no way we're going to get out of here at a good time. And then finally the trailers started about 15 minutes late. We saw, I can't remember. I know we saw the Lightyear trailer and something else, and then the new Black Adam trailer started, and maybe gets about 30 seconds in, and then it just cut out, and the screen goes to black.
They didn't show
and
that one for me.
Somebody came in and said,
I didn't get to see a Black Adam trailer either.
there's a new one. It's on YouTube now, so you can see it. But somebody came in and said, sorry, they're having some issues. They told me projection should have it fixed in about the next 5 minutes. But just hold tight, they're working on it. And luckily, less than 5 minutes later, it came back, and they skipped the trailers. It did the pre-roll right before the movie, and then the movie started. So everything was still kind of on time. But there was a moment there where I thought, I'm going to have to go to a different screening, or this isn't going to work out. They're going to send all of us home. But luckily, that did not happen. So anyway, it's kind of a funny tangent on our spoiler talk, but we all had interesting theater experiences today.
Mine was overall fine, though. It was just those people were a little annoying. Gary sounds like it was the worst.
An ideal.
Well, let's see. Any other kind of spoiler points about the movie? Maybe something you liked. It can be something you disliked.
Lots, man. Daniela Pineda, I think is her name. She was Faye from Cowboy Bebop. She was in the second Jurassic World movie.
Yes.
She's in the beginning of this movie.
Along with Justice Smith, who's the boy that's in the other one, who they totally drew the short straw in this one. They're in the very beginning and then never see them again.
You never see Daniela again. You see Justice Smith again during like that whole CIA BS, but not much. She's just gone. And I was upset. I was like, why are you going to do that to me? She's the best. Give me more of her.
Underground dinosaur black market with like the dinosaur fighting rings and stuff. That is the movie I want. That's the dinosaurs are out on the world. That's the planet I want. That's the movie I want. That's the setting I want. I didn't want to go back to secure dinosaur facility. That was awesome seeing dudes tatted up with raptors and fighting pits.
I thought that's what the movie was going to be. I thought it was going to be dinosaurs in the world. We're gonna go
bring down
catch
the
them.
illegal poaching ring or something. That's the type of stuff I wanted to see too.
With the way the movie started, with the giant like Jaws type shot pulling down the giant crab boat, and then them breaking the Stegosaurus out and driving through the Stegosaurus field, I was like, am I on board for a dinosaur heist movie? Because I will watch them go steal the T-Rex.
I will.
Like, yes, give me this. But that's not what we got. The movie starts off like we all said. There's that cool montage of dinosaurs out in the world. They just start off with hot fire, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and more cheesy and stereotypical. And you could just see everything coming from a mile away. The more the movie goes on.
Yeah.
It just becomes so bland by the end.
I was fine with the locusting in the very beginning because I thought like, oh no, like other stuff is happening. But no, it's just that one thing. Just that one thing. There is no other like. I thought there was going to be like Cretaceous era foliage like running rampant and like this, that, and the other thing. I thought there was going to be lots of cool like dinosaur diseases. I don't know, like actually seeing us like mesh, and they show at the very end like that scene where it's like the Triceratops are walking with elephants and like
dinosaurs running with horses while they did a monologue that was like,
in
this world we all must learn to live together.
Literally looked like scenes out of The Lion King, but where they
did
superimpose dinosaurs into the scenes too, like just brutal.
It really did. But like at the same time, like at least they were trying to show the integration of them into our world. And, like, that's what I wanted. And then, so, we're talking spoilers now. Yeah, the plot is literally about these locusts. They're eating crops. They're giant. They're like the size of like.
Man, they're not even giant. They're like the size of a football.
Yeah, they're
It's
like
like
football
big.
size. They're big.
It's like big for a locust. But like, if you're at home thinking that they're giant locusts, like the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, no, they're just big locusts.
They're big locusts. They're really hard to kill. They're like resistant to a lot of stuff. Blah blah blah. It's an issue. They start eating crops. They don't eat
You know
the
what they're
crops.
not resistant to is being put into a large pot by a small child.
Yeah. But yeah. So the whole plot of the movie, Dr. Sattler, played by what's her name?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. Laura Dern's character, Dr. Sattler,
Is awful.
I like her, but her whole
I like
thing.
Laura Dern in general. Like, I think she
I like
can
Laura
be
Dern
a
in
good
general.
actor. I'm with you, Gary. I thought she was like pretty horrendous.
I think
was
it was just
so
the
bad.
writing, man. I think the writing was dog shit.
It
I think
looked
she
like
was trying
she
to do
didn't
what the
even
best-
know what to do with her like hands. Like her hands and her arms were weird the whole time. Yeah, like it was her first time being on a set. She was just weird. She was so rigid.
Yeah. I
didn't
think that
notice.
the writing for the older characters in general was really bad, Jahan. So you're right, and I think she's probably doing the best with the material she's got. But to me, it resulted in her almost overacting really badly. Like, just I get it. You're in a movie with a bunch of dinosaurs. Like, realism isn't necessarily what we're going for here, but it was just over the top.
There was a lack of subtlety in a lot of
Sam
things.
Neill, I thought has aged really well. He had some awkward moments too, but like he's aged well. He looked good. I'm like, yeah, I'm down for some Dr. Alan Grant here.
I can't
he
see
did
that
some
guy
action
the same
scenes.
way after I saw Event Horizon. I don't know. that movie, it's messed up.
I thought he was great, and also he looked like he hadn't aged a day. You know what I mean? He still looks exactly like Dr. Grant. If you would recognize him from the 90s to now, he looks the same. He plays the same. Yeah, I would love to see, in an alternate universe, the years in between Jurassic Parks. I would have loved to have seen a Dr. Grant spinoff where it's like Indiana Jones mixed with dinosaurs starring Dr. Grant. I think now he's too old for that, but if only there were a world where we could see those movies, I could do more Dr. Grant in my life.
Yeah.
And then even of them, then you have Jeff Goldblum, who has even less to do than the other two, except for just given a lot of long monologues.
Dude.
I'm like, he's just spouting absolute nonsense. Like nothing he's saying makes any sense.
It was so
And
weird.
the cadence with which he was saying things, it wasn't right. He wasn't like delivering the lines the way that a human being would say the sentence. He was putting the word in the wrong spot. All the time.
I think that's just kind of a Goldblum thing.
That is a
in
Goldblum
way.
thing. But
But
also,
the writing of it just seemed like somebody writing, who said, he's a mathematician. We need to make sure that he sounds really smart. So make sure you write this to sound like a smart person would say it.
But then
And
they
instead it
didn't
just
get a
comes
smart
off like-
person to write it.
exactly.
it's-
So it just comes off like nonsense.
No offense
The
to whoever
scene-
wrote it, but come on.
No,
The
totally.
scene I think about in particular is when he's giving his dissertation the first time you see him and he's talking to the crowd full of students. Which, first of all, they're not students, they're employees, so it's weird that he's giving a college lecture-style dissertation in the middle of the workday, but whatever, we'll let it go. It's a weird speech, it didn't make any sense or have to do with anything. And then afterwards, there were, like, everyone in the class, 40, 50 people surrounding him for book signings.
Super
like
weird.
he was a celebrity, even though this was the place that he supposedly works at. Like this is
For
it,
6 months.
Yeah. What is happening? There were
I
just
mean-
so many inconsistencies like that were just so dumb.
So
They were just stupid.
it's like they wrote his character based off of like a synopsis of his character, like a little. It's like they had an excerpt. It's like, oh, this is how you write for it, and didn't watch the movies or something because
It was
like
more like they wrote him as Jeff Goldblum.
kind of, yeah, definitely there was some of that because Ian Malcolm was kind of like a rock star guy in the first movie, but also he has some of the best lines in Jurassic Park. They're quoted, they're memed, everyone says them all the time, and he says really smart stuff. His character, he's a genius. He's really smart, and all that chaos theory stuff. is really cool. He's just, yeah, you're right. He was spouting nonsense, and then everyone applauded.
He wasn't smart in this one either. He was the puppet for somebody else to spread the plot. So he wasn't even smart. He didn't know the layout of the place. He didn't know the codes to get in the doors. He didn't know anything. He was just a bumbling fucking buffoon in this one. Man, excuse my language. I'm really dropping F-bombs, but I'm not a big fan of this Jurassic Dominion.
Well, I want to talk about the writing a little bit because, Jahan, I appreciate you, and you're a very nice person, and you're trying to be nice and say no offense to the writers. But I'm here to say the opposite, a total offense to the writers as far as I'm concerned, because I've talked about this before on the podcast, I believe, and I'm going to go into it again, because I think that Colin Trevorrow's story is very fascinating. Because for anybody who doesn't know, Colin Trevorrow was directed a little indie movie called Safety Not Guaranteed years ago, and it was pretty well received. And after that movie, he gets handed the reins to Jurassic World. And Steven Spielberg signed off on it and gave him the seal of approval, like, this is the guy to take the Jurassic Park mantle, you know, he's going to make Jurassic World. Colin Trevorrow makes Jurassic World, he writes it, you know, probably with a writing partner. I don't have it in front of me who he wrote it with, but, you know, he's a writer on it, he directs it, it's a huge mega hit. You know, Jurassic World made over $1 billion, huge mega hit. Colin Trevorrow, bona fide blockbuster director, writer, all that. Then goes from that, makes a passion project he's been wanting to make for years called The Book of Henry. It is absolutely crazy, ridiculous. It's a terrible movie that just, talk about things making no sense. That movie makes no sense. There's no human logic in that movie at all. It's so ridiculous. And at this point, you know, after the success of Jurassic World, Trevorrow had been given Star Wars Episode 9. He was supposed to write and direct Star Wars Episode 9. The Book of Henry comes out and is so critically reviled and bombs so bad that Disney then fires him from Star Wars Episode 9, so he loses that movie. He does still have a story by credit on Episode 9. He's in the credits.
That was a close one. That movie was almost terrible.
That movie was still terrible.
Yeah, but he got a story by credit, so let's blame it on him.
And so then he did help. He was a writer on Fallen Kingdom and produced it, but didn't direct it. And then he came back to direct this one and wrote this one as well. And as far as I'm concerned, Colin Trevorrow must be stopped. We have to stop this man.
Yeah.
This cannot go on any longer. Please, somebody stop this man.
He's got the anti-Midas touch. Everything he touched turns straight up into Dookie.
Yeah, who's this uncle that keeps getting him into these parts? Like,
you know, and I'm from a directing standpoint, there's some competent directing here. Like, there are some scenes that look cool. Like, the guy can direct action, but from a writing standpoint, you got to hand it off to somebody else, man. Just, you know, just hand over the reins. You can still be involved. Sure, keep being a producer, maybe direct here and then. You don't need to be in the writing room, my guy. Just take a step outside. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he could probably spend more time with his family or vacation that way too. Just take a week off while the writers are working on some stuff.
I feel like his
just
family
get out of
doesn't
there.
like him very much.
I wouldn't. Would you?
Nah, it's just mean. But yeah, yeah. So we talked about the writing. I wanted to talk a little bit about like the sheer mind-numbing happenstance and luck. First off, I was tripped out by the pilot when we first see her. I was like, damn, she's like really, really like specific looking. Like she stands out. Like you could see her in a crowd a mile away. Like not a great thing for a criminal, but you know, then I started thinking, I'm like, some criminals have like tattoos on their faces, you know, whatever. It happens. But then like, so she sees the girl, right? She drops off the raptor. She sees the girl after the kid had the clone. Oh no, I'm a clone. And then, like, the only person that Bryce Dallas Howard shows this picture to is this woman. In the whole time they're there. She didn't even show it to the CIA guy. Like, she
thought about that, but you're so right.
She's the only person. She's like, oh, you're American? You won't screw me over. You know what I mean? Which is just wrong.
Yeah.
The American that you find in that criminal den is probably a monster. That's how that usually works.
you find in that criminal den is absolutely related to the kidnapping of the person from America.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a fair point. But yeah, and so it's just like the one person she shows the photo to, and then like the woman happens to be walking in the street when Bryce Dallas Howard's about to get eaten by a raptor, steals the truck that she falls into. Cool, fine.
Or that might be her truck.
Or it might be her truck. I don't think it was, but that's a good point. And then like the whole thing with them getting to the plane, that scene was actually pretty cool.
I was gonna say you can't fast forward through that. That car chase,
that was solid.
The stolen car, the motorcycle, the raptors through the city, with the stolen dinosaurs like fighting out in the town square. There was a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
A lot of cool moments, a lot of stupid moments too. Like, why would Chris Pratt drive the raptors and the big dinosaurs right at the crowd of people eating at the cafe on the corner?
He's a man on a mission.
He would have more sense than that. He would lead the dinosaurs away from the crowds. That's what the character's done in the past. There was just a lot of inconsistencies throughout the movie like that. Where you're just like, why? This is so dumb. Why? This is so dumb. But all in all, that was a really cool car chase, and was one of my high points of the movie.
That was definitely a high point. Chase. I even kind of liked the trained raptors that like, oh, we see a laser light, that's our prey, we hunt you till you're dead. That was cool, and that was the whole, man, we could have had that movie where humans are using dinosaurs.
That was actually in Fallen Kingdom also, because the Indoraptor that's introduced in that one, it follows a laser sight and sound.
Yeah.
It is trained to attack. So it kind of, that continued from that one too.
That was really cool. They were talking about training raptors for military purposes in Jurassic World, and you get to see it. And that was the movie that it sounds like we all wanted to see, where humans and dinosaurs are in the same world and things are happening. Not going back. And then they take this plane. This woman who saves the day is like, yeah, I have a plane, and I know how to get to this place. I've been there before. Let's go rescue this girl. No, you don't have to pay me. I just, it's just the right thing to do. Fine, whatever. She felt guilty that a girl got trafficked on her watch. Fine. And then they get to the freaking place. They turn off the air defense system. The pterodons come in, wreck the plane. Cool. Fine.
Well,
that was kind of cool.
Bryce Dallas Howard ejects.
Yeah.
And then the plane crashes way over there.
Yes.
Which is important to put an earmark on, because later, Chris Pratt and the pilot come from way over there all the way back to where the ejected seat landed. But Bryce Dallas Howard would have been working her way towards the plane. So they would have met each other much sooner than that. They missed her by a mile, and it would have taken an hour or 2 or 3 to miss her by that much.
Something like that, yeah. And then, so she ejects. Her parachute gets ripped up by pterodons. Of course it does. There's a backup chute, because there is. Fair enough. The plane crashes into a frozen lake. Everybody's fine.
Crashes onto it and into it.
Not a scratch on him.
Not nary a bruise. Nary a bruise, sir. Not a scratch. Like, they didn't, nothing. Like, this, at this point, this is a children's movie. Because that's ridiculous. They get out of the plane. They don't even show a scene where it's like, oh no, we're gonna drown. Like you always do. Because of course you do.
That's right. They skipped that one.
They skipped it. They just got out. They were fine. It was cool. And yeah, there was a lot of that. And then, they just kept finding each other. Just randomly throughout the things. It was just ridiculous. They constantly... And then anytime there was dinosaurs involved, you're like, oh, cool. Someone's going to die. You know what I mean? Because, of course, they're going to die. The world's greatest predators are here. And there's 6 of you scrambling over each other to get away. One of you's going to die, right? Nope, no one. No one even loses a limb. No one breaks.
Goldblum straight up is separated from the group, grabs a stick, lights a fire,
I thought he was gonna die.
He stands 3 feet away from a T-Rex and is like, "Hey, whoa, you look at me, and yeah, there's no bite, there's no eat." I thought that was it too. I thought he was giving himself up for the greater good, saving.
That's
the
what
team.
I thought.
Yes, nuh-uh.
And no, hell no, because he has a stick and he's going to use it. He throws it like a flaming spear into this, not even Tyrannosaurus, I think it was an Allosaurus, something like that, and throws it into its throat. And whatever this thing is soaked in is the most flammable substance ever because it flares up in his mouth. And it was just so ridiculous.
This is one of the things I was going to bring up because, the torch... It's kind of a fun callback because, in the original Jurassic Park, Alan Grant has the flare and everybody's trapped in the car that the T-Rex is trying to get into. Alan Grant uses the flare, waves it around, distracts the T-Rex, so the T-Rex starts coming after him. He throws it to the side. The T-Rex still comes after him and he starts running away. And he gets it away, So in this one, you get role reversed and Dr. Ian Malcolm's using his torch. But yeah, then throws it into the dinosaur's mouth and then it erupts like a bomb. I don't think that makes any sense.
It made no sense.
From a science standpoint.
It made no sense at all. It was the equivalent size to the dinosaur as me putting like a lit candle in my mouth. I can put that out.
Apparently, this dinosaur's saliva is made out of lighter fluid.
Yeah, it was so weird.
What I took away.
And
there's some parts in that where, like at one point, Dr. Malcolm's in the car that's flipped upside down, and you can see him on the ground looking through the windows, and the T-Rex is nudging it and spinning it. And some of those visuals that were taken from the first one, I actually didn't mind those. I
didn't mind them either. That was fine.
That wasn't too pandering or anything. That kind of stuff I liked. However, there's another character from the original that's in here that we haven't talked about yet, which is B.D. Wong, is Dr. Henry Wu, he's kind of been popping up. Like I know he was in Fallen Kingdom. I can't remember.
He was in World as well.
Jurassic World, yeah, and just
because he made the Indoraptor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and
oh no, he made the whatever was the precursor to the
Indominus Rex.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and they tried to do. Gosh, he's of course involved in all the science plot lines and with the clone, and the clones and the clone girl Maisie is her name is introduced in the last one, and she's the granddaughter of this guy who his daughter died, and so they cloned her and yada yada. And in this one they expand upon that, and she actually got older and was using this, had some sort of fatal genetic issue, and then created a clone of herself that she gave birth to, so she gave birth to herself. And it goes into all this crazy science stuff about curing diseases, and then the locusts are part of that, and none of it makes any sense. And Dr. Wu, B.D. Wong, is there as part of the science, and he's recognizing the wrongs that he's done, and they try to give him this redemption moment at the end where I'm like, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That's how I felt the whole time.
So Jahan and I, we like storytelling and bullshittery, right? We can pull bullshittery out. We're good at it. We like to do it. The fact that the clone was cured through human dinosaur genome, and that they were going to use that research to get rid of the giant locusts that they made.
So what was going?
That's the plot.
What happened? What she did supposedly was she had a genetic condition, so of course she passed it on to her clone. And wanted to
I know what you're doing here. You really don't have to justify or explain this.
I'm not going to justify it. I'm upset about it. I'm not happy about this, Drew.
I was stumbling over my words earlier. I literally saw this movie 5 hours ago or a little more, and I'm already stumbling to even get through what happened in it because it was just so insane.
Oh, I'm real good at tying these strings together, buddy. Don't worry. So they cure the clone by using a virus to replace every cell in her body. That's what happened. That's what they said happened. And he was like, no one's ever done it before. Yeah, because what? Get out of here. It's ridiculous. I mean, obviously, your cells replace
but they
every
did it
so
with
often.
dinosaur DNA.
And
the real kicker is that now they're going to deconstruct clones cure
Yeah.
to make locusts smaller.
No, to make the locusts die.
Oh yeah, to make them die and go away.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, so it's a highly contagious disease that's fatal, that you're just praying like crap doesn't jump species? Like, and then at the end of the movie, he releases the contaminated bug alone to a field, and like everyone's like, what could possibly go? Everyone could die. Everyone on the planet Earth could die. It could have. I don't know. It was just so absurd.
Can I talk to you guys about something that really upset me about this movie?
Was it the locust fire tornado?
No, actually, but that did upset me. I'm glad you brought that up. How did a room full of locusts turn into like 1 million locusts that burned down an entire forest, and then also wound up on the sub level 3, a couple floors up in the server room that's completely closed? So dumb.
Bananas.
Oh my god. No, what I was gonna say is one thing that really bothered me, and it bothered me when I left the theater, and it's still bothering me now, was that Chris Pratt's story had to have taken days. You know, like 4 or 5 days. Traveling across the world, meeting with the CIA, setting up the sting, going to the place. But Dr. Grant was only there for like 3 or 4 hours. Like they all they did was they showed up, they went to a tour, and they went and got some locust DNA.
Yeah.
And the movie continues to go back and forth from plot to plot to plot to plot, like you're watching this really tense thing. But that's the difference, is you're watching a week's worth of action and fights and dinosaurs and motorcycles and car crashes and plane crashes versus some old people walking around looking for a bug. It is just an awful, boring secondary plot. It was just really hard to choke down. And then trying to think of it in my head as like, you know, they've only been here for like a couple hours, like 3 or 4 hours. But it really seems like the movie wants you to think that this is all going on at the same time. And it cannot be with the amount of time it would have taken Chris Pratt to get around and do things.
Yeah.
The only
time frames and the things that happen in those time frames just don't seem consistent to me.
No, definitely, yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that.
I hadn't thought about that
totally
either.
Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the only other major spoiler thing I really wanted to touch on, because I'm getting to the point already where I'm like, I'm getting over talking about this movie.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
But no, you know, in Jurassic World, they made it a point to, you know, introduced the Indominus Rex, and then at the end of that movie, there's a confrontation between the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex, the OG T-Rex, and the T-Rex wins, and they make a point of that, and it's kind of like, you know, throwback to the old school apex predator always wins, and the T-Rex has a much smaller role in Fallen Kingdom, but the T-Rex is kind of present throughout this one, but there's just like a really weird kind of thrown in side. It's not even a side plot because it's not even really. It's to call it a plot is really giving it a lot of credit. But there's another giant dinosaur that I don't remember what it's called. That's like a T-Rex, but they say it's even bigger, and they keep saying it's the biggest. It's the biggest carnivore.
It's like the Gigantosaurus. Yeah,
and so there's a part where maybe a little over midway through the movie, the T-Rex and that dinosaur have a confrontation, and the Gigantosaurus or whatever it's called wins, and the T-Rex pouts and walks away, you know, and lets the other dinosaur have its food. And then at the end, there's another confrontation where that dinosaur pretty much straight up beats the T-Rex. The T-Rex plays dead, comes back, and teams up with this other dinosaur.
He teams up with a half dinosaur, half sloth with cataracts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty accurate description.
I was going to say it's the dinosaur that needs a manicure, but I love the half dinosaur, half sloth with cataracts.
It's an accurate description. They obviously tried to do some things in this movie where they introduced some new dinosaurs that the way that science has gone in the years since Jurassic Park, there's been more science that shows, well, dinosaurs probably actually looked like this and probably had feathers and yada, yada, yada. And so they have some new dinosaurs in this one that really, I think, closely resemble what the real science now is saying. And so there's a scene, with Bryce Dallas Howard with the dino sloth cataracts creature.
Were dinosaur hands.
And at the end, that one teams up with the T-Rex and they kill the big dinosaur.
And then they are like, yeah, bro, we did it. And then they go their separate ways.
They roar with each other, basically the dinosaur equivalent of a high five, and walk away. And I'm like, what just happened?
No sense.
Why did they team up? What is this other dinosaur? Because
what's really good about the kill? It's like, it's not a throat-ripping kill. The T-Rex, shoulder butts the Gigantosaurus, and Edward Dinosaur Hands just catches it with his sharp fingers.
Yeah, Edward Dinosaur Hands is so good.
It is really good.
And that's how the Indoraptor died in Fallen Kingdom. Blue kicks it through the roof, or they manage to get it to fall through the roof, and it gets impaled on a Triceratops skull. And then in this one, that dinosaur gets impaled on Sloth Hands. Or Dino Scissor Hands, whatever you called it. It was a great name. But yeah, just it introduced that dinosaur with the sloth hands earlier in the movie in this scene with Bryce Dallas Howard that I thought was actually pretty effective, one of the better scary scenes. But I didn't get from that scene that this is one of the new big dinosaurs. This is one of the ones to fear. And then at the end, when it roars in defiance with the T-Rex, I'm like, was this dinosaur supposed to be a big bad too? I don't know. It was just so strange.
So that dinosaur, you actually reminded me. I actually really like that scene too, where she's hiding from it. That was the original movie's fear. You know what I mean? That was good. But also, it feeds into what I was talking about, the ridiculous luck. She lands in front of a dinosaur that cannot see. It's the only blind dinosaur that they have ever shown in any of these movies. They're like, how's she gonna get away from this one? What if it's blind? It's you know what I mean?
As cool as that scare was, then there's the exact opposite, where the three original characters are going through the amber mines, and instead it's like a haunted house, where they come around the corner and it's dinosaur. They climb a ladder and it's dinosaur, over and over. You're just like, what is this jump scare cave that they're in?
Bro, why are there Demetri... all right, I know dinosaur science, whatever, leave me alone, all right? Dimetrodons in the mines. Why? You know what that thing on their back is? It's to gather solar rays to keep warm. Why are they subterranean? That's the whole point of their fin. It's to stay warm. Or something like that.
They also had tiny little short legs, shorter than my corgi's legs, and it didn't seem like they could move very fast. So I was kind of like, why?
They were kind of cute
with these things. Why are they so scared of these? I feel like you could probably outrun one pretty easily.
Yeah, my fat ass could outrun one.
Yeah, it was just that bothered me too. I think I had.
I'm done taking a crap on this movie if you guys are.
Yeah, and I mean, I just I guess to put a little bit of a positive spin on it. Again, I like seeing the dinosaurs. I have fun when there's dinosaurs on screen and when the plot has to do with dinosaurs. The problem is just this one's plot didn't
have to do with
dinosaurs. The dinosaurs
were
there, but it did. I mean, I couldn't believe the giant locusts, and I was like, surely this isn't going to be the main plot, and it really was. And that just kind of blew my mind. But I mean, there are cool dinosaur things in it, but just some of the writing and decision making in this movie, I'm like, what? Oh, I don't know what they were thinking. That's my big takeaway.
They were thinking, we need to steal the girl so that we can kill the locusts.
Mm-hmm. First we get the girl, then step 2. Then
and there's dinosaurs.
3, profits. Yeah,
step 3 is locusts.
Step 3 is They literally had the underpants gnome planning going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Step 1, get girl. Step 3, locusts.
Kind of like how in The Walking Dead, the zombie apocalypse is the setting, but they're not necessarily always the plot. That's a character drama.
I also thought of that.
It is a character drama that there happens to be zombies. And it's almost like with this movie, they wanted to make a character drama where there happened to be dinosaurs, except none of the character drama worked. None of the characters really worked. And the dinosaurs get the short end of the stick, and I wanted more dinosaurs. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I had the exact same thought about The Walking
I can't
Dead.
believe no one died.
Yeah, no one
I
died.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
They're too high level.
Well,
man.
no, the one guy died, Mr. Science guy. He died.
Yeah, that was
No,
the
he
other
didn't.
thing I had to say. That guy
That was stupid.
was trash.
What a horrible bad
What
guy.
a terrible bad guy.
And he's playing a character that's in the first Jurassic Park movie, but the guy that played that role is like a registered sex offender now or whatever.
Jesus
and, like,
Christ.
So obviously they recast him with this actor. And this guy, I can't think of his name. His name is Campbell Scott, which I think of him. He plays Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker's dad in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. That's what I think of him as. He plays Richard Parker, but he's in this.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And if you notice at the end, so I think that's part of why they have him get killed by the raptors with the acid spitting ones with the frilly necks.
I think they're called Dilophosaurus.
And at one point he drops his bag, and he's the character in the first Jurassic Park that has the first meeting with Wayne Knight's character, and they're talking at lunch outside, and Wayne Knight shows him the Barbasol. Yeah, Newman shows him the Barbasol can and all that kind of stuff. And actually, when that character got killed in this one,
he had the Barbasol can.
He drops his bag, and the Barbasol can rolls, and yeah, I thought that was a funny callback, but. It's also like if you're not super nerd, you're not gonna even know that's the same character.
It was a funny callback, but like, why was like you would only pick that item up and like display it if you saw the movie. Like that was it's a weird thing to have on your shelf. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh boy, yeah. There's so many. I'm sure. I'm really interested. I need to like go down. A lot of people hate Reddit. It can be a terrible place, but like I want to go down the Reddit wormhole of what people are saying and see what the Twitter discourse is, because they're gonna pull apart even more things that I'm not thinking of or we haven't mentioned that are gonna make me laugh. Because
when this comes out,
there are a lot of things that can be picked apart here.
When this comes out on streaming or something, we should straight up Mystery Science Theater this. It's just like watch it and like talk over it and just sit here and talk about it. I've always wanted to do Mystery Science Theater.
Do like a commentary episode. It'd be fun. Okay, well we can move on from that. I think we've really torn into it as much as we feel like it. And just really quick, we don't have to talk on it too much, but as something else that's new and relevant this week, the Miss Marvel premiere dropped on Disney Plus this week. And I just wanted to talk about it really quick. I know there's only been one episode, so it's not like there's a whole lot to talk about. But I was just curious to get y'all's thoughts on the premiere of Miss Marvel. You know, seems like Moon Knight just ended, and we've got Obi-Wan going on simultaneously, and now we've got another Disney Plus Marvel show, and it really seems like they're gonna keep rolling this stuff out. You're not gonna get much of a lull.
I was surprised
between shows these days
that they dropped this while Obi-Wan was going. I was a little surprised. Figured they'd let them breathe.
So we don't have to do a full-on spoiler discussion necessarily. Well, we can touch on some things, but just what did y'all think of Miss Marvel?
Go ahead, Gary.
I hated it.
Just like that. Just no redeeming qualities for you.
Nope. I hated it. I hate the tone. I hate the character. I do not like the supporting characters. I don't like the boy that is her friend that makes her cosplay stuff. I didn't like either one of her parents. I don't like it. I don't like the show. I don't like her power. Maybe I'll like it more when I learn more about it. But right now she has a magic bracelet, so I don't like that. I don't like Captain Marvel, and I don't even like that she's a Captain Marvel fan. Because I don't like Captain Marvel. And when she went to the convention, and the convention was a carnival, I was like, has Marvel even seen what a convention actually looks like?
Yeah.
Because this looks like a carnival, and like 3 out of 10 people are wearing the same outfit. It was bad. It was really bad, and I did not like it.
Jahan, how about you?
So I liked it a lot. I thought it was fantastic. I love the visuals they bring in. It was very... They kind of brought Into the Spider-Verse visuals into a a live action show. A lot of that style. Honestly, though, some of the stuff they were doing, while it was super awesome, I got a little nauseous at one point from the camera moving too much. But I still think the camera, like, there's a lot of really cool camera work in this. I like the characters. Her supporting cast guy in the chair, which I am slightly annoyed that every superhero just has a techie best friend, but it's kind of true in comic books anyway, so whatever. But he's from The Walking Dead. Yeah, he was in The Walking Dead. I think his name was Henry. And he was
The Walking Dead getting a couple shout outs from us tonight.
He was the adoptive son of Carol and King the King. So that was just I was like, where do I know him from? I was like, oh yeah, Walking Dead. It was awesome to see once again representation matters. When they were like sitting around the table, and I hear words from a language that I think they speak a different language than Iranians, but some of the words are the same. They're saying salam, that kind of stuff. It just like I got a little choked up because it's just cool to see, and we weren't the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like even the super religious brother isn't like a nut job. You know what I mean? Like he's a cool guy. He's not like a fanatic. It was amazing Muslim representation for sure, and it's just nice to see us, being depicted in a positive, family-oriented light, like I know us to be, because we just want to chill, eat seeds, and like hang out with our family. That's what we want to do. You know what I mean? I'm not Muslim, but my family is. So it was really nice to see that. I like the actress. It's like they removed DNA from the comic book and made it a real person. I've heard other people say she looks just like her. She's perfectly cast. I think that she has I like her personality. I like the way she plays. She does a really good job of being this awkward, nerdy kid from Jersey. It is a teen. There is some teen romance going, and that's always hard to watch. But
it to me definitely felt the most teen of any of the Marvel shows so far. It really felt like a teen show.
Definitely. Well, and let me dive into it because I haven't given my thoughts, and I want to say I'm kind of more with Jahan here. A lot of the things that Gary was pointing out as things that he didn't like about the show were the things that I did like, that I actively liked. I thought the style of it was really cool. I loved the animations that are thrown in with it. I thought that was super fun. The family dynamics and learning the quirks of the family, just nuances there, I thought were just super fun. And I like I have to say, some of these recent projects that have come out that have had some of these different cultures examined, I have found to be fun. Like, we've talked a few weeks ago about Turning Red, the new Pixar movie, which I know, Gary, you didn't like that one either. But in that, you see it's a Chinese-Canadian family, and you learn about some of their traditions and see some of their family dynamics. And there were a lot of similarities, I think, between that and even the dynamic with her friends. In that one was more anime inspired, but compared to this, Miss Marvel, just, I don't know, we're some good comedy. It does come across like a teen comedy, but teen comedies and coming of age as a genre is one that I'm very partial to. I love coming of age movies and things like that. So that just is something I find appealing anyways. I don't know. This one just kind of fit in with what I was looking for, and especially for me, having not been a big fan of Moon Knight, and I thought that show, I thought Oscar Isaac was awesome in that show, but I thought otherwise visually it was kind of bland, and there was some cool action in it at times, but I don't know. And then going from that to this, that was, I just thought, much more visually stimulating and fun. I thought was a nice change of pace as far as the Disney Plus Marvel shows go. So I was definitely way more positive on it, and I'm not coming away from it like this is the best Marvel show of the Disney Plus Marvel shows by any means. I have to see more, but I definitely thought the premiere was very fun.
I thought it was fantastic. I really like it. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Was watching the making of Moon Knight on Disney Plus, and it was the director, and he was, they were jerking themselves off talking about how awesome Moon Knight is and how he's such an action-based hero, and they can't wait to show the world how badass Moon Knight is. And my first thought is like, man, you guys didn't open with action. You opened with Steven. And then in the end of the second episode, the first time before you ever see Moon Knight, and he barely has any action. I felt the same way about Miss Marvel, where they're gonna tell me this is this really cool show and I'm gonna love it, and what I watched was a girl go to a convention and find out she had a magic bracelet. It was boring. It was long. I was not excited. I did really like the family in the same way that I loved Oscar Isaac's performance in Moon Knight. The way that he showed mental health. And the way that he had really done his research, and they did such a great job with the multiple personality disorder. I think that they have definitely grabbed that with Miss Marvel and Kamala Khan. Just like you guys said, she's telling a great story. She's really realistic. Her family's very believable.
Yeah.
I just think that a 14-year-old girl from Jersey who can't even remember to pick up her gloves off the bathroom floor is not a good superhero. That's my problem. I think she's not a good hero. So it's hard for me to watch.
So just again, we don't have to do a beat by beat spoiler discussion for this because to Gary's point, I'm not gonna disagree with you that there's not that much that happens. You're introduced to the character, you're introduced to her family, and she goes to this convention, and that's how she kind of discovers her powers and whatnot. But I just want to say, so here's the biggest spoiler for the premiere of this episode. So this is coming up because we'll talk about it. But yeah, as you know, in the comics, Kamala Khan is an Inhuman. That's how she gets her powers. So the Terrigen mists are deployed, and she gets her powers, and I think she mostly is super stretchy, right? That's kind of her powers there. And obviously, they tried to do the Inhuman show, MCU-based show that I think was on ABC, and it bombed pretty bad. And so it was discarded, and the Inhumans really haven't been mentioned in the MCU anywhere.
Which is a shame. I love the Inhumans.
So I was interested to see how they were going to do that with Kamala Khan and what they did. And so I will say the magic bracelet, I have to see where it goes, because I do think it's a little bit anticlimactic. Like, oh, her grandmother handed down this or collected these artifacts. She gets her hands on it, happens to put it on as part of her costume, and then all of a sudden has these powers. I don't know. I just have to see more or see if they dive into it more, because I do agree that's maybe a little bit anticlimactic. But I also don't mind her not being an Inhuman, because to try to put all of the Inhuman backstory for one character in the MCU right now probably isn't necessary when you can find another way to give her her powers.
Yeah.
But then I'm also just interested to see what exactly her powers are, because like we said in the comics, she basically is like Mr. Fantastic in a way. She might have some more strength to her or something. I don't know. In this, it just kind of looks like she's got an energy gauntlet, but the way that she was using it were like extensions of her limbs.
It looked kind of like Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, but she wasn't necessarily stretching in the same way. I don't know. Obviously, they're going to take some liberties with this character, which makes sense. She's going to be in the new Captain Marvel movie. I think the sequel's called The Marvels. So if they have to make her fight along Captain Marvel, who's legitimately a cosmic superhero that shoots energy blasts and is one of the stronger characters in the MCU, obviously you got to make this character have some sort of even footing. But yeah, that's one of the things where I'm like, I'm not willing to just say, that's stupid and discard it, but I'm interested to see what they do with it.
I also have problems with her powers. The bracelet, I'm not a fan of. So the whole reason I thought they were changing her powers was to make her have a similar power origin to the woman that got her powers in WandaVision, and then also Captain Marvel, because both of them get their powers from the forces of the stones in a way. Oh no, we lost Gary. The forces that govern the stones, the energy that comes from the stones, is what gave them their powers. I thought that she was going to get something similar, maybe the bracelet has something to do with the stones, but unlikely because they were all just well, they weren't destroyed, were they? They were replaced in the timeline.
Yeah, they were all placed back in the timeline.
Yeah. So I guess they are still there, but until they get to the future and then are destroyed. Interesting, but yeah. So it's just weird. It's just I'm not a big fan of that. I also, I wish she was inhuman still, but it does seem like there's some sort of lineage here. You know what I mean? So, like, maybe she is. You know what I mean? Because it does seem to be a family thing. It is entirely possible that maybe this gauntlet simply awakened her inhuman DNA.
Yeah, that could be it. I mean, they might still incorporate that somehow.
Yeah.
And if she can continue, if it awakened and then she can use the powers without it in the future, I don't know. We'll have to see. But, yeah. All right. Well, cool. I just kind of wanted to see where y'all were at on that. I'll definitely be watching. I'm not even sure how many episodes it's supposed to be. If it's 6 or 8 or I'm honestly couldn't tell you.
I thought there was a scene that was really funny. It made me laugh. The guidance counselor was like, "Don't call me Mr. Smith. That's my dad's name. Call me Ronald." I don't remember what his name was. He's like, "But that's my dad's name too." And then, like, he didn't know where to go from there, and that was just really funny. But yeah, no, I like the show. I look forward to seeing more. What about you guys?
Cool.
That's everything.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This is episode 49. We're almost there at that year mark. Can't wait. I've been Johannan at RockFact on Twitter.
It's me, Casualty CDG, and you can find me at Casualty CDG on all of the social media things. If you like tabletop games, come check out Jahan and I every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time at twitch.tv/Johananon, or just Google Fresh Out the Box TTRPG, and we'll be there for you. Thanks, everyone, for being here, and let Drew know what your favorite dinosaur is on Twitter.
And I am Drew Munhausen at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to episode 49 of Fresh Out the Podcast. We haven't thrown out a hashtag in a while, and if we do, I think it should be what was the Dino Scissorhands? Was that what it should be?
That's Edward Dino Hands.
Edward Dino Hands.
Hashtag Edward Dino Hands, please.
Yep. Shoot that hashtag specifically at Jahan.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Stay fresh.
I gotta quit.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Out, the podcast, the ultimate podcast for friendship. And the only podcast out of a box. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Johananon.
It's me, Casualty, CDG. I'm a retired disabled child crimes and human trafficking detective, turned tabletop titan, and improv comedian. That means that I say things, outrageous things, for a living.
I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and this is episode 50, the big 50, half a hundy of Fresh Out, the podcast. We did it. I mean, I don't know what we did, but we did it. We got to 50.
If I had $1 for every podcast we recorded, I would have $50.
Actually, you would have 51 because we did a bonus episode about the Microsoft and Activision acquisition back then.
But sir,
but that was not one of our
don't
special numbered episodes.
Don't you remember that I didn't show up to the Halloween episode? It was but the devil himself who showed up. So I've still only recorded 50.
How about that? I do remember that. I have vague memories of that. Yeah, so 50, we've done 50 episodes. Haven't missed a week since we started, so that's been 50 weeks straight of Fresh Out the Podcast episodes. And I just want to say up front that I enjoy doing the show with you guys. I think anybody that listens regularly, I know that a lot of our audience is made up of our friends and folks like that. And, you know, we appreciate y'all being here and supporting us and listening to us talk, because for me, it's a fun outlet, and I like talking with my friends every week or every other week. So I think no intent of stopping anytime soon. We're gonna keep on podcasting out content.
I actually accepted an offer with another podcast, guys.
Oh boy. Well, this is awkward.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you guys after the show, but now that you committed us to more episodes, I figure now's the time to tell you.
Oh boy.
What podcast is it? Guys who look like white supremacists.
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say it's the OAN podcast. So yeah, pretty much same thing.
The OAN, like the lunacy news.
Yeah, well, that's since I make a living just saying lunacy and just doing anything. They thought I'd be a great representative for their station and for their party.
Oh man, we need to be careful about them. They sue.
All right. Episode 50. Man, Drew, that's good work. You did that. You did this all by yourself. Jahan and I aren't even here.
Not even here.
We definitely did it. It is a group effort for sure.
It's just you.
I know that sometimes I have to kind of wrangle you guys in these discussions every now and then, but I enjoy it. I enjoy that aspect of it. Even though sometimes y'all make fun of me and you say mean things to me, I still for some reason like you guys.
How do we not? Look at that face.
The face
Just how do
only
you-
a mother could love, but yours doesn't.
This is why he prefers to do the podcast instead of a live stream, is because of his horrible face.
That's for sure true.
He's like a porcelain doll that was painted red by a blind person.
It
Well,
looks
and
like
this is-
it looks like a baby angel just came straight down from heaven and grew a little gray beard.
This is obviously going to be one of our water cooler episodes, in a sense, where we just talk about the things we've been watching and doing, and you know what we've been up to. But I guess just as an impromptu thing, as being the 50th episode, any specific podcast memories that stick out to y'all so far in these first 50 episodes that, you know, if you're telling somebody about your podcast, you say, yeah, there's this one time where we said this or we did this. Anything like that stick out that you want to share? Any fun memories?
I mean, there's some, yeah. Sea of Thieves. Those are good times. It's pretty funny.
Oh no, I didn't like that. That was a bad pun that made me mad. I don't like that one. I always, you know, one of our recurring jokes. I'm still a fan of the day that I just lost my brain and for whatever reason I was talking fast and said James the Rock Johnson. That'll
James
always
the Rock
be
Johnson.
a recurring bit here, I'm sure.
I do like Jahan no-selling the Chris Rock slap.
Oh no, that's also one. All y'all's favorites are my least favorite moments. That's my ultimate least favorite.
Well, it was
one.
at your expense, so of course it wasn't your favorite.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say that all of my favorite moments are probably at your expense, Drew.
Yeah, the Chris Rock slap one, I got mixed feedback from people. I got one person that said that bit was not good and drawn out way too long, and they did not like it. And then I heard from somebody else that they thought it was hilarious and one of the funniest things that had happened on the show. So
It's yeah.
You can't please
It's-
everybody all the time.
If I had to throw my hat in the ring, you know what side it lands on. That was very good.
Oh boy. Well, anyway, yeah, so episode 50. Good job, guys. Now we will dive into some things that we've been watching or playing or reading or whatever it may be. And I was actually just looking through our list of things. Am I the only one that has movies? Oh no, Jahan, you've got at least a movie. So okay. I was going to kick it off with something that's a more newer relevant film, because currently at the time of this recording, it's the #1 most watched film on Netflix. And it is the new Adam Sandler film called Hustle. Have y'all watched this, or are you familiar with this?
No.
No.
On both
this
counts.
This is a Netflix original. As part of Adam Sandler's, you know, long-running deal with Netflix right now, this is a Happy Madison movie produced for Netflix, starring Adam Sandler. However, a lot of the Netflix original Adam Sandler movies have been very, I'd say, varying degrees of quality, mostly on the negative side. And this is, one of the more serious ones that he's done. So, he had his turn in Uncut Gems a couple of years ago, a movie that I really liked. And this one is another more serious performance, but also a little bit more family friendly and schmaltzy at times, but in a way that I liked it. So anyway, he plays a NBA scout for the Philadelphia 76ers, who's like a legend in the business, and he scouts for the NBA. And he basically meets a player from Spain who has no real experience. He's a really great basketball player, but no professional experience, and he's basically kind of raw. And Sandler sticks up for this guy, and it's all about kind of his quest to get this guy into the NBA. And
He's
it's
raw, like an uncut gem.
yes, John.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah. No problem.
No, and there's a lot of NBA players that make cameos in this movie. A lot of them playing themselves, some playing other people. And I actually thought this movie was really good. It's not like the best movie ever, but it's like a solid Netflix movie, considering Netflix fare and what Adam Sandler's been producing out there. He's really good at it. His performance is really good. He's playing a little more serious. But he has some Sandler moments for sure. But another of his performances in his kind of aging Sandler mode that I really liked. I thought it was pretty solid. So I would give this I'd recommend it. You don't have to be an NBA fan to like this movie or to watch this movie. You might get a little bit more out of it because you'll recognize some players and personnel in it. But yeah, I'd recommend Hustle. I thought it was pretty good.
Please define Adam Sandler moments.
He probably does the voice where he yells at the thing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Where he starts out talking like this, and then he has to yell out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. That's the Sandler thing. So you get the Sandler yell on occasion.
I thought he was going to do the like ba-ba-loo-loo, like that stupid.
No,
voice.
You don't get none of the Billy Madison
throwing up
type voice.
A lot of Adam Sandler things.
You don't get his man-child kind of character, but you get some yelling for sure.
I wasn't going to watch this. I had no interest in watching it because I thought it was going to be like a knockoff of Uncut Gems, like a Netflix. Here's our shot. So now that I've heard you describe it, I'm going to go give this a watch. I think I didn't want it to be something so gritty and violent and disturbing or gross or something like that. But it sounds like something that I'm in for, I think.
No, this is for sure. Like, you could watch this movie. I think parents could watch it with their kids. It's pretty family friendly. You're not going to, I don't think you're going to have anything upsetting in this. It has that kind of look where like Uncut Gems, where it's that real realistic, kind of raw look. But as far as the content goes, it's pretty...
I had seen the trailer, and I just thought that it looked like you said, kind of raw, like Uncut Gems. It kind of looked like it, so I was worried it would just be a Netflix knockoff. I'm glad to hear that it's not, and now I will watch it.
Yeah, Queen Latifah's in this movie, and she plays Adam Sandler's wife, which that was a little bit of an adjustment to watch, because it's just... No, like, I've seen Queen Latifah in many things, and, like... I don't know, you've never seen her really just play like the wife character. So that was kind of odd. But they were fine. And then Ben Foster is also in this, and he plays like the mean team owner playing an unhinged bad guy like Ben Foster always plays. But anyway, yeah, so I liked this movie a lot. I would recommend it. So I'd say give Hustle a watch.
Interesting.
I'll kick it to y'all for something now.
You guys want to stick to movies or like bounce around?
I was gonna say let's just stick to the streaming platforms if we can. So he talked about something on Netflix, and I think you had some new Castlevania news, right?
Oh yeah. So this is just news. But you guys have heard me talk about Castlevania, the Netflix animated show. Some of the best animation I've seen. Like, it's beautiful to look at. It's clean. The action is fantastic. The way they expand on the lore of Castlevania. I love the magic. I love the brutal violence. It's such a good show. But that show wrapped up. Season 4 ended, and it was great. It ended well. You know what I mean? Some characters live, some characters die. But Castlevania Nocturna, or it might be Nocturne, is going to follow the son, Richter, of two of the main characters, Richter Belmont, son of two of the main characters, in a new, I think it's like, they said French Revolution era kind of feel. So I'm actually really excited about that. It's a cool, they're moving on to a new era. I love how it's kind of real worldy, but like still not. I just can't wait to see what they do with this.
I'm pretty sure I played Richter in a Smash Brothers game.
Yes. Yeah, I think I have his amiibo, actually. But yeah, the Richter and another Belmont, I believe, are both playable Smash Brothers. But yes. No, I'm really excited for this one. Like, 10 out of 10 excited. Seriously.
Hey, random note, shout out to my wife who texted me and told me that I was being too loud from when I was yelling doing the Adam Sandler impression.
Shut up, Drew.
Anyway,
She's
go
doing her
on.
Adam Sandler impression.
If I was your wife, I would
Shut
also...
up there, Drew. Don't make me come up there.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Stop talking so loud, Drew.
If I was your wife, I would also tell you to shut up. But yeah, no, if you haven't seen Castlevania on Netflix, I mean, if you have Netflix, it is worth the watch. It is adult animation at its finest. I love the mythos. I love what's going on there.
I actually haven't watched Castlevania. Everybody knows Zack, right? Everyone has a Zack in their life. It's
For better or for worse.
yeah. It's so when I was living with Zack, he put on Castlevania, but he just fast forwarded to all the fight scenes to show me all the fights.
I've had someone do something similar, and it similarly messed up a series for me. They did it to me with Bleach. And you know, like, how, like, the end game of anime, like, they're just, like, floating in the air, and then, like, you don't see them, then you see them, and then, like, mountains explode nearby from the pressure of their force. And I'm like, without context of the story, it means nothing, and it's stupid. Like,
Yeah, I think maybe I should go back and give Castlevania a watch, especially
Bro.
because I thought it ended at 2 seasons.
4.
So which means that there is double to watch for me. So at the time, I had only seen 2 seasons worth of fight scenes. So now I have more content to watch and more fight scenes to watch.
Yeah,
So
it is,
everyone knows Zack.
It has great pacing. It doesn't linger. It has a lot of really amazing action scenes. Super cool magic. Super cool monsters. I'd say it's absolutely fresh out of the box. You guys should definitely watch it. Hey, Bobby.
Nice.
Did anyone else have anything on Netflix? I haven't been on my Netflix machine. I've been on Paramount Plus. I'd actually unsubscribed for it and then resubscribed to my service, so I tried to make sure to get my money's worth all at once.
I've been watching other stuff on Netflix as well. I can mention one of them. So I'm gonna get some eye rolls as I always do from Drew now.
Oh, are there zombies in it?
Shut up. Maybe. So this is one that I've heard of that, you know, is supposed to be really good. I saw it was like featured on the front page of Netflix for me. They picked this one for me. It is Cabaneri.
So even Netflix is rolling its eyes at you.
Yeah, Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress. It is it at this point, the whole train thing, like living on a train, I feel like that's its own genre. I call it train apocalypse. So they have a train apocalypse where it's more convenient to live on a train than it is in real life. I'm gonna coin that term. That's a Jahan original. Train apocalypse. But yeah, so the Iron Fortress is a giant train, much like Snowpiercer, except instead of it being really cold, there's zombies.
Did I ever get you to watch Infinity Train, Jahan?
I saw all of Infinity Train.
Yeah, hell yeah. Infinity Train's that's another train apocalypse.
Yeah, no, man. So like, I pay real close attention to those Cartoon Network like limited series. They're always good. Over the Garden Wall, we got from there. Fantastic stuff, man. But yeah, Cabaneri and the Iron Fortress, it is an anime. It's about zombies. They have, like, instead of, like, shooting them in the head, they have, like, this glowing spot in their chest where, like, all these veins go to. You have to get them there. And then there are, I forget what they call the zombies, but they call the people that are made to hunt them Cabaneri. And they are, like, hybrids. They are partially, they use the zombie stuff somehow to make them into these fighters. And man, oh man, the girl's badass, dude. She's like flipping through the air. She does like really cool gun stuff. Like she's like, bah! And then like she does, you know, it's called color guard. You know how like the color guard girls will like spin the rifles? She's doing that while fighting, and it's really sick. I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but from what I saw, it was pretty cool. It definitely had my interest, and I'm interested to see where it goes. But yes, there are zombies.
Yeah, I don't have anything else from Netflix. I've got stuff from Peacock, of all things, but
I guess I have
yeah.
2 more things from Netflix.
Yeah, I've been
Keep
giving
it rolling.
Netflix the workout. Actually, that Iron Fortress does sound pretty good to me, though.
It was pretty
Truth be told.
cool. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of the dub, but it's fine. I'll watch it sub later. So you guys know that I've been watching Stranger Things season 4. I finally finished season 4, and
Is it all of season 4 or still just the first half of season 4?
it's the first
for now?
half. The rest of it's
Okay.
out like July 3rd or 4th or something. Dude, so like I know I said I had some issues with some of the stuff they were doing with the story. They fixed like everything I complained about, they explained, and they fixed a lot of it. Like, I don't have as many issues with this as I did. This is really good. Season 4 is must watch TV, I think. And there is a scene in I think episode 4 maybe, that is one of the greatest scenes in television. Like, it's just so good. Like, I had like chills. Like, it was just exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff going on visually. There's a song that's gone viral because of this scene, running up the hill.
I've seen the song that's gone viral.
Yeah.
I don't know the context of it, but I've seen the stories about the song and how they used it and all of that.
There's
So,
a really
yeah.
cool scene with it. It gave me chills. I thought it was fantastic. I got like emotional for no reason because like there's just a lot going on. I got excited. I don't know. But seriously, by the end of this, it gets to this place that is super interesting. They fixed all the issues that I had with the story. Like, seriously, like, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. If this happened, then how could this be true, blah, blah, blah. They fix all of that. I'm all in. I think Stranger Things Season 4 is fantastic. I'm happy that they have a 5th season. And I'm okay that the 5th season is supposed to be their last one.
Did I tell you the good news about Stranger Things? I've actually watched all of season 3 and had completely forgotten about it. So now I can pick up on season 4 guilt-free.
Dude, season 3, I actually really liked all the stuff they were doing with like the Russian subplot. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I thought it added this whole layer to stuff going on, and like, I don't know. I think Stranger Things is actually a solid show all the way through. Season 2 is a little wonky, but I really think that it comes through.
I think
I'm going to
Stranger
revisit
Things-
it. Season 2 is the one that got me off board. So, yeah.
I think that Stranger Things is especially noteworthy because it's a child cast show, and it has been a child-led child cast show the entire time, and it's a great show. It's hard to find child actors of that caliber, especially that can just keep performing at that level for so many
And
seasons.
a lot of them are just like, this is their first thing. Like, a lot of them, or at least they didn't have a lot of stuff going on. Like, the guy who plays Steve Harrington, fantastic. Like, he's really good in this. I really like Nancy's character. All the main group are fantastic. It's just really good. And also,
Yeah, lots and lots of great young talent.
you can get the pizzas from Surfer Dude at Walmart. So, this isn't a plug for Walmart by any means, but you can get them. So I think that's cool too. Definitely watch season 4. That's all I have to say.
There is nothing more American than getting Netflix brand pizza at a Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing, it's not a Netflix show, but I've been watching it on Netflix. I know Drew had some questions when I put this on the list about my involvement. But yeah, Breaking Bad. I've been watching Breaking Bad, and yes, I'm rewatching, Drew. I have seen it before.
That was my question. Had you watched it before? Were you revisiting it? If you were revisiting it, why were you revisiting it? Yeah, I'd love to hear why.
Yeah, so like I also watched the show late. Jenny got me into the show. I had never seen it. She was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you haven't seen it. It's a great show." Watched the whole thing, loved it. It was fantastic. It is a great show. It is a truly good show. I don't know. I needed something to watch. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I wanted something fun, exciting to watch. I've only seen Breaking Bad the one time, and so I was giving it a rewatch. I'm a rewatcher of shows. Usually, at any given point in my life, I am rewatching a show like in the background of doing everything else. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch a couple episodes of this. Like I'm always doing it. And it's Breaking Bad's turn. I've seen all of Breaking Bad. I've seen El Camino, which I think actually was a Netflix movie.
Yes.
And then I've also seen most of Better Call Saul, which is I haven't seen all of it. I'm behind. I need to catch up. That show's really good too.
The general buzz I hear about Better Call Saul, because I know it currently has a season airing, is that it's one of the best shows on TV. That like the people that have stuck with it, that it is really good and only gotten better.
It's really good. His acting's fantastic. I love the characters. Yeah, but Breaking Bad, I'm watching again. I think I'm on season 3 already. It's so good, man. It's so good. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, check it out for sure. I know I'm pulling out
funny,
like an
funny you
old
talk
movie.
about that when speaking about Netflix and the fact that you said, El Camino was a Netflix movie. It is all relevant because I think that Breaking Bad was one of those early huge Netflix success stories. Like when Netflix started to do more streaming and really lean into that, Breaking Bad, I think, was kind of little watched, highly praised, but little watched in its first couple seasons. And then they got put on Netflix and everybody watched it there and got caught up. And then it became the phenomenon that it was, and people were watching it live on, what did it come on? AMC? But I think that it found so much footing early on Netflix that I think that's why they partnered with them for that movie.
Yeah.
I would still love to see Netflix revive Firefly. I know that everyone wants to see it, but
Honestly,
let me just throw it out there and remind everyone.
as a Firefly resurrectionist, I gotta say, I've kind of like fallen off of the bandwagon. Josh Whedon has turned out to be a super problematic human being. Got all kinds of problems, and like, cause I love his work. I love all his work. I loved Buffy. I loved Angel. I loved Dollhouse. I loved Firefly. Like I watched all of it, even the stuff that like a lot of people haven't seen. But he's just so problematic. Everyone's super old now. Like I just don't think it would have the chutzpah. I even continued to follow it in the comic books a bit. And I just don't think it would be
if
there.
they released it, it would be a huge hit. Whether or not they missed their mark, which I agree with you, I think they did. They missed their timing. They missed when it could have been the best. I think if they still did it, they would still. Everyone would still like it. Everyone would still watch it.
With all of the stuff that's come out about Josh Whedon, it makes a lot more sense that it didn't come back, because I guess those actors were like, hell no, like it makes a little bit more sense now. But I think that a show in that universe could be super cool. But
yeah. Speaking of alien shows and alien universes, I've been on a binge. I've been on an alien binge, boys. Hulu is releasing new episodes of The Orville. This is season 3, but it's also New Horizons. And this is the transfer now that Disney owns Hulu and Fox and all that stuff. So it's coming off of Fox. It was going to be on Disney Plus, which was a really weird announcement. And then they put it on Hulu only instead. They re-announced that a couple months ago, which I think was the right move. I'm a huge fan of The Orville. I've seen every episode in all of the seasons. I love that they tackle modern day problems, and they reskin it in an alien universe. So the most recent episodes, one of them deals with suicide and loss, and that's right out the gates. So it's funny. The Orville is funnier than Family Guy. It's funnier than Ted. So please don't base it off of what you think Seth MacFarlane is supposed to be, or what your preconception of Seth MacFarlane is. I think he's kind of douchey, Seth MacFarlane. There's something grating about him. But in The Orville and as the captain of a Union ship, he's great. The Orville really takes itself seriously, like a sci-fi show should, and it throws jokes in very natural ways that are funny. They're natural. They make you laugh. They're true to the characters. It's not slapsticky and gross like a lot of the Seth MacFarlane stuff. And it's easy to bond with all of the main crew members. So it really is kind of a Star Trek with comedy. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it.
Hey, if you haven't seen the Orville, it is really good. The sci-fi aspects of it are really good. Like they do a lot of interesting stuff. Like they did the whole planet where like social media like likes and dislikes can like get you killed. They done a lot of cool stuff. They did a whole like there's a whole race that are all male, and then they dealt with the whole like oh, women are actually born there, but then they are forced to have surgery. But you know they do some pretty sensitive stuff in very interesting ways. They keep the comedy, but they keep this interesting writing. The new season, I've only seen the first episode. It was dedicated to Norm Macdonald, which is sad because he plays one of the characters.
It was good to see his character on screen one more time, though.
Yeah, it was good to see his character one more time. I honestly did not like this new episode very much. It bothered me. It was just I was annoyed by a lot of what was going on. Like I get people's attitudes, but I feel like a lot of weird choices were made. And like that new character,
Ooh, she would have been removed off my ship for some of those decisions.
I don't like her at all. I don't like her at all. She bothered me. She was annoying. She was petulant. She was a little child, a little baby child, completely unprofessional.
I
and
think
also,
she's gonna wind up getting Gordon in a lot of trouble in the future.
probably. Also, that whole thing, like, oh, the only one that could save him is this woman who can visualize fourth dimensional geometry. It's like, what is that? Like, I understand throwing sci-fi stuff, but that was just really dumb to me. I don't know, man. It was just...
When they said that she can visualize fourth dimensional geometry, I looked at Annie and I was like, me and Jahan played that game. Like, me and Jahan can visualize fourth degree for geometry. Like, we did it. We played the time game where you go forward and backwards while you shoot up, down, left, right with a time rewind. We did that.
Yeah, it's just, it was so dumb. It was just really dumb, man. I don't know. I didn't like her. She bothered me the most, I think.
I will agree that character is really grating, but that gives the character either A, room for growth, or B, it gives the show room to kill off a character.
True. She was not fun for me in any way. And
I don't think you're supposed to like her. If me and you both didn't like her, we're not supposed to like her.
Probably not. And then what they did with the whole suicide thing, and then psych though, like that was stupid. I didn't like that. No takesy backsies.
They were able to find his code because he's a computer guy. I like that.
Fair. Fine.
Because his home race also was going to be able to extract the data, they knew it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't make sense. I just thought it was almost a cop-out, but, I get it. I don't know. I had mixed feelings about this episode, for sure.
You got to jump into the next episode. There's a second episode of Orville New Horizons out. Oh, yeah, it's good. Hell yeah, it's good. So, watching Orville, right, I'm on this Orville high, I'm on this sci-fi high, and I've watched Star Trek Discovery, and it's absolutely terrible once you get about 10 episodes in. It really craps the bed. But there is a new Star Trek show that I was told about. And since there's a new South Park movie on Paramount Plus, they're gonna get my money for a little bit. And while you're getting my money and I'm on a sci-fi high, you're gonna let me watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Man, Strange New Worlds go hard, though.
I've heard good things.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Orville if it wasn't funny.
That I'm interested to see that. No, I've actually wanted to watch this really bad. Where is it, Paramount?
It's on Paramount Plus. So right out the gate, Anson Mount is the new captain, and he's retired. He has seen his death in a parallel universe already. He knows how it happens. It messed him up real bad, and he's got bad PTSD. So he's been on a ranch chilling for a while.
I saw his death in a parallel universe recently where his mouth disappeared and his head caved in.
Yeah.
Is that guy with him a Vulcan or a Romulan?
It's a Vulcan. Okay. It's Spock.
Oh, that's Spock. Okay.
Yeah, it's Spock. So he's kind of disheveled. He's not really captaining anymore. He's got his Anson Mount beard. He's looking all Western like he does. He's got a horse. It's the whole thing. And then they convince him to come back for a mission because his second in command / wife girlfriend went to make contact and they didn't come back. And since they're a Discovery ship, it's a whole thing. But basically, it was exciting for me because as a guy who's watched a bunch of these Star Trek-ish shows, there's the rule that if a planet is like pre-space travel, you don't go interfere with their business until they're ready to like talk to you. You don't go speed people along.
That's the prime directive, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
Well, the planet gets their hands on a warp bomb, but not warp engines. And so they're in a weird spot of like, should we make contact or not? We're not getting word back from our people. And since Anson Mount's already out on the I don't want to be a captain anyways, he's like, yeah, we're going to make contact. I don't care. And so he just goes down there like straight up, just threatening people, like ready to go. Like Anson Mount, awesome captain. Breaks all the rules right out the gate. But for the safety of everybody, it's really good. You should watch it. Check it out. Paramount Plus. Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
'Cause I love Star Trek too. Yeah, Discovery's oof, it gets real bad. And then like did you get to the mitochondrial network part?
I didn't even mind the mycelium travel.
There you go. Yeah.
Look, if you're gonna sci-fi doesn't matter. If you have an Epstein drive or a warp drive, or you travel through a mushroom network, I don't care. None of it makes sense.
A little much for me.
None of it matters. But to me, the big problem in that show came when, of course, it's a multiverse. There's people from another universe. There's two of everyone. Oh no, who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? And so the writing got really sloppy where they killed the bad version of a character, but they wanted to keep her around, so then they made them like find the good version of her in prison in another universe. Just, oh my god, it got so bad. It really started weird. Okay, don't watch Star Trek Discovery. Let's just end it there. Let's just say don't watch that one. Do watch Strange New Worlds. And since you're already paying for Paramount Plus, don't watch Halo because that was just awful. It was terrible. It was so bad.
Man. I stopped watching.
Don't. I stopped watching it too, and then I ended up reading that him and Cortana, or him and the Doctor, end up like having a relationship, and they fall in love and they kiss, and it's like all this whole thing. Like, that's not Halo. What are you doing? Still, still, yeah.
Oh no.
Paramount Plus. Let me get this out. South Park Streaming Wars. It's a direct-to streaming movie, and it's really on the nose. It's called Streaming Wars. It is about water rights and global warming, about who controls the streams, and there are a ton of hand-in-cheek jokes about how all the streaming services are just the same, and there's too many streaming services, and why isn't there just one big stream that we can all get water from? Why do we have to look around for our stream? There's a lot of really great stuff in this episode. South Park is in great form. They have continued to keep up this long build narrative season over season over season. And so now Cartman lives in a hot dog. I know that may not make sense to a lot of you guys, but there's the South Park COVID special and the post-COVID special. A lot of the South Park movies coming out are really good. I recommend watching them. I just recently saw that Family Guy is still releasing new episodes, and so I went to go catch up on some. And they're just so crude. They're so poorly written. They're blended up, and they're shoved down your throat. And to go and watch South Park and see Trey Stone and Matt Parker, true to their form, making these great, long, hilarious, movies, it was absolutely wonderful. It's South Park better than it's been, and it just keeps getting better. These past specials you guys should really check out.
South Park is really good. And I'm also excited because like they did all these movie deals. They also did some video game deals. And their video games, specifically The Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, are fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do next.
In Fractured But Whole, whenever you pick your difficulty, it changes how dark your character's skin is.
It does.
So if you play on easy, you're a white guy, and if you play on hard, you're a black guy.
Well, it was actually while you're selecting what color, like what race you are. It's like it would change the. It was really.
I enjoy those kinds of jokes from them. They're so on the nose, man. they can really help shine a light onto what's going on in our culture. But it's just, it seems like the people who watch it already know, and it's the people who need to learn better aren't interested in watching.
Yeah.
Like John Oliver.
That's John Oliver for president.
That's all I have on Paramount Plus. I'll pass it off to one of you fellers.
Go ahead, Drew.
I'll talk for a little bit. First off, I'm going to talk about some non-streaming movies. I want to get these out of the way, some newer stuff. I actually went to the theater and saw Crimes of the Future. Have either of y'all heard of this movie?
No.
No. So Crimes of the Future is the newest David Cronenberg film.
Oh wait,
directed.
yeah, I heard of that.
No.
That's Minority Report.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Crimes of the Future. Oh boy.
It's also
Y'all are giving me a lot of oh boy.
It's also
moments
Looper,
today.
I think. But yeah, we could. Yeah.
But yeah, David Cronenberg, very famous director, a lot known for a lot of body horror type stuff. You know, he did Scanners and The Fly, and he hasn't made a movie since about 2014. But he made a new one called Crimes of the Future. This stars Viggo Mortensen and Leah Seydoux and Kristen Stewart, and it is
It's an interesting cast.
Yeah, and it's an interesting movie. It's one of those where it's very odd and it's hard to explain. But it basically takes place in the future, where people, just due to like pollution and climate change and stuff, people have changed and been evolving and adapting, where a lot of people don't feel pain, a lot of infections have gone away, but because of that, people will just like cut into each other and do surgery out in public. Or Viggo Mortensen's character is adapting to where it produces new organs that aren't even used in any way, like new undiscovered organs. That's a big plot point of the film, that he'll go get removed. So like people are literally evolving and adapting and changing, and so it's just results in a lot of strange things. And Viggo Mortensen's character in the film does basically like art stage shows where surgeries are performed in front of audiences and things. And, it just goes from there. So combined with all the other weird stuff I told you, it's all combined to just make a very strange plot. Again, a lot of like body horror imagery, if that's the type of stuff that you're into. I'm always down for a new Cronenberg movie, so I did go out of my way to see this, but definitely not going to be for everyone. It's one of those movies that was at Cannes Film Festival, and you always hear like, and all these people walked out of the showing. In 5 minutes in, they left. They walked out. Tons of walkouts, and they always say that kind of stuff to give it attention. But yeah.
Would've
So anyway,
walked out.
What was that?
I would have walked out.
Yeah. So understandable. So anyway, just very strange movie, but I overall didn't like it as much as I hoped to, but I thought it was okay. I just was hoping it was going to blow me away, and it didn't, but it was definitely interesting. Take that.
It sounds interesting. Body horror also gets to me sometimes. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's a little much.
I could go the rest of my life without ever seeing a body on a surgery table.
I don't know what it is, man. Body horror in films, I find it fascinating and intriguing. And, I told y'all about, I went and saw the movie Men, and I reviewed it for Nerdtropolis recently, and it ends with just some crazy stuff. And I don't know. I've seen a lot this year already. I'll put it that way. And I don't mean I've seen a lot from a volume perspective of a lot of movies. I mean, I've taken in a lot of images that are strange.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, man, that's how I felt about Brand New Cherry Flavor. There's a part where there are some like under the rib cage vaginas. So
Nice.
And they definitely use those in an incredibly graphic sex scene.
I wish I could use under the ribcage vaginas as a transition for Blade 2, but I'm not ready for that yet.
I'll move on to something else that's a total pivot from Crimes of the Future, and it's a movie called My Love Affair with Marriage. I actually was sent a screener of this, and it's currently showing at Tribeca Film Festival. So just to thank you for the screener and for letting me view this. But it is an animated film that's animated by mostly by one person. So the writer and director kind of made this autobiographical animated movie that's about basically a girl growing up in society and in the Soviet Union, and it's animated and it has songs throughout as well. But the interesting thing about it is that broken up in the movie, there's like these biological depiction, like basically scientific animations, drawings of like how the brain works and how it sends signals and how it does things. So like it's probably the best example I've ever seen of like why do women act a certain way, or why, because it's about a woman, so it's all about how acting by what's considered to be gender norms, or like really suppressing certain urges because it's how a woman should act, and how she developed and how she gets into her relationships, and how, being in an abusive relationship and all these different things. And it's like, it deals with a lot of very heavy elements from that standpoint, from like a life standpoint, but it's all told in this animated musical with these scientific depictions. So it keeps it very light while dealing with things. So I actually thought this was really fascinating. The animation's kind of crude because it's hand drawn by one person throughout, but like it's very stylized. And I enjoyed it. The crudeness of the animation, I don't mean that as an insult. I think it made it a more personal film. But my biggest complaint about the whole thing is I think it just overstayed its welcome. It was a little too long. But otherwise, I think that it was really fascinating, and I learned something. I learned a lot of things from it. So for those that maybe don't want to sit down and be taught something while watching a movie, you might not be into this, but like if you're down for something educational and insightful, it was good. So I just wanted to give them a shout out since that it's currently the only way you can see it is at Tribeca Film Festival right now, but hopefully it will be, on one of the streamers at a later date. So I wanted to give that a shout out. And then moving on to more streaming, I watched something on Peacock the other day, and I know that's not one of our most commonly discussed streaming services on this pod, but I will say this, to give credit to Peacock, Peacock is Universal's streaming service. So they have, a lot of their films have a 45-day window from when they're in theaters to when they appear on Peacock. They've actually had a bunch of things drop recently. Ambulance, the Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, Michael Bay movie is already on Peacock. They had Firestarter go straight to theaters and Peacock the same day. The Northman, which is one of my favorite movies of the year so far, the Viking film with Alexander Skarsgård, that's just dropped on there. But I watched another movie that didn't get very much attention in theaters, but it's on Peacock now, called The Outfit. And I wanted to shout this movie out because I actually really liked it. It's a very, it's one of those movies that takes place pretty much in one room or one location throughout. It was interesting. It stars Mark Rylance, if you know from Bridge of Spies, or what else has Mark Rylance been in recently? He's in a bunch of stuff.
You're
gosh dang it, John.
Oh boy,
John, for somebody who's keeping it PC, you still got to throw out the mama jokes sometimes.
I'm keeping it PC. Wait, how's your mama not PC?
It's not. You don't talk about my mother.
No. Drew. You're not supposed to talk about other people's moms, but your mom, she's on target. She's good to go.
No, I'm just joking. Anyway, no, he was in Don't Look Up. Did y'all watch that? Right?
Yeah.
He was the Steve Jobs-esque guy.
Oh, right.
In Don't Look Up, and he's in the BFG and the Trial of the Chicago 7 and Ready Player One. He's in a bunch of stuff you've seen, but he's
Is he always just like a nerdy old white guy, bad guy?
Not always a bad guy, but yes, pretty much.
Okay.
Type K.
Anyway, so he's an English tailor in Chicago, But his office or his tailor shop is also used as like where communications are transferred between gangsters. So
Like Kingsman.
yes, yeah, actually, pretty big parallel there when you think about it. But yeah, so it's just all about like he's just trying to be a tailor or a cutter. You know, he makes these suits. That's all he wants to do. But there's all these other shady goings on within his shop, and he tries to just turn a blind eye until that kind of blows up in the plot, and there's some gangster stuff. And yeah, it's a pretty like small movie. I mean, small in scale. Like I said, it all takes place in his shop, but it's really well done. So if you're looking for just kind of an easy, but with some intensity and intrigue.
Does he say any
watch.
zingers?
It's on Peacock, and it's called The Outfit.
Like
so, there's that.
Like this life of crime doesn't suit you. Anything like that?
I appreciate that joke. So yeah, and then the other movie watches I've had, I'll just kind of go through quick because it's nothing like new. But I finished my Raimi watches. I watched Drag Me to Hell and Oz the Great and Powerful. Drag Me to Hell, if y'all have seen it, I love that movie, and it holds up. It's still good. It's Sam Raimi being super crazy horror guy. It's definitely more in line with like Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness. A lot of gore, a lot of cheesiness and comedy sprinkled throughout. So I recommend Drag Me to Hell. And boy, is Oz the Great and Powerful not good and even worse than I remembered it being. Everybody's pretty badly miscast in this movie, namely James Franco and Mila Kunis. James Franco just does not give a shit in this movie. He's just there for the paycheck. And Mila Kunis, boy, I just feel bad for her in it because she's so poorly miscast. Yeah, this movie's bad. It's just a big CGI vomit fest. Yeah, it's just not good. I did, however, I'm proud of myself because on my Letterboxd review, I made a funny joke, and so I'm going to read it to you here.
Great delivery so far.
Yeah, killing it.
I said, here's my Letterboxd review. I can't believe they expected us to accept James Franco as a character who is a selfish asshole who takes advantage of every woman he meets.
Nice. That is pretty funny.
How does he get cast as that and still do it wrong?
I mean, I guess he and Raimi just had such a good rapport during the Spider-Man trilogy, and then he said, hey, I want to give you the lead of this movie, and James Franco, he showed up. That's about all I could say about him in that movie. He's there.
Sort of. He sort of showed up.
In the original Wizard of Oz, there's a scene where there's snow, and apparently it was asbestos. It was just being poured on the actors because they thought it made you grow big and strong.
Does asbestos does not make you grow big and strong?
It does not.
Uh-oh.
It does not.
I know that James Franco currently is like kind of a problematic figure as well. But I will say, just from the past, some of his movies, like there are movies that he's in where I like his performances or where I liked him in them. But he is one of those actors that, just sometimes he shows up in something and he just doesn't seem like he cares to be there at all. And this is definitely one of those. So yeah, it's a movie that does not have a good reputation, and going back and rewatching it, it was worse. So do not recommend that one. Thankfully, Raimi came back and made the new Doctor Strange, which obviously it wasn't my favorite movie. I've been outright about that, but it's better than Oz the Great and Powerful, and at least we can say that Raimi has another movie in his filmography, and that his most recent directed movie wasn't this one. So that's all I have to say about Oz the Great and Powerful.
I liked Doctor Strange still. In fact, the things that I didn't like about it, I think, were probably more the Raimi stuff. I think I liked whatever director had it first. I forget his name.
Scott Derrickson. Yeah, I actually as now we're over a month removed from seeing Doctor Strange, I think it sits better in my memory now than it did when we talked about it. But I am still interested to rewatch it. I know it drops on Disney Plus here in about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I'll
and
almost definitely rewatch it.
I'll probably rewatch it when it's on there. And
I missed the whole music fight.
oh yeah, you definitely got to rewatch it then.
That was in the bathroom.
Music fight was cool.
Yep, and then the only other movie that I watched is I've been continuing my James Bond education and watching the old Connery Bond movies, and I watched Goldfinger, which is a classic, and a lot of famous scenes here. You know, the lasers, James Bond strapped to the table with the laser going up, about to split him up the middle, and yeah, this is probably one of the better of the old Bond movies I've seen so far in watching these for the first time. So that's all I'll say. I will say this though about James Bond that's different about Star Wars. You know, I know that's random, but this you'll see what I'm getting at.
The aliens. That's what's different.
I love Spaceballs. I think Spaceballs is hilarious. But I don't watch Star Wars movies now and watch Star Wars and say, man, this is making me want to watch Spaceballs. But I watch James Bond movies and I actively want to watch Austin Powers. That's what I was getting at here. It's like, I watch these and I'm like, this is just making me want to watch the old Austin Powers movies.
I was just thinking about Austin Powers. I forget why. Something about how his comedy... they're just garbage. It is trash. It's poorly written garbage. And I forget what point I had, but I was thinking about it like today. Do they hold up?
No.
I can't imagine.
I've heard the first one does. It's been in the media a lot because the first movie turned 25 years old this year. So people have been rewatching Austin Powers and revisiting, and a lot of people are saying it holds up.
No, it doesn't. Nope, sure doesn't. You know what does hold up, though? I watched all 3 Blade movies, baby.
Oh, boy.
HBO Max is the home of the Blade trilogy. Let's just say I enjoyed them a little bit. The first one, so bad. So bad. The supporting cast is terrible. The plot's terrible. They kill Whistler. He literally shoots himself in the head, and then Blade goes back and gets his gun, and I guess buries Whistler, but the vampires turn him, and then in the start of this... But you don't know that. You don't know that until the start of the second movie, Drew. He just shoots himself in the head. But then they start the movie, and they're like, oh yeah, remember that guy that we killed in the other movies? Nuh-uh, he's in a vampire tube. The supporting cast in Blade 1 is really bad. Wesley Snipes is awesome. I forgot how many lines he had. And I also didn't know that Wesley Snipes was a martial artist before he was an actor. I figured he was one of those guys who learned stunts on set. But he's like a black belt in multiple different martial arts as a career before he started acting. And so going back and watching, Wesley Snipes actually whoops some ass sometimes in those movies. And then they start bringing in the other characters, and the fights that they do are so bad. It's like a hip toss and 2 punches. It would be a whole fight scene with characters that aren't Wesley Snipes. They kick off the wall in Blade movies more than I've seen anyone kick off a wall in any series in my entire life. It's like
Even
in
the
1990.
Matrix?
Yes, way more than the Matrix.
Interesting.
This is like these guys discovered jumping off a wall, but they don't use wires to do it. They just step on a wall and push off, and they do it over and over and over, and it becomes so distracting. That's not even a good fighting move. Why is everyone doing this?
Like when Fergie started doing cartwheels during a live performance.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. She wouldn't stop. She just kept going, and she couldn't sing while doing it, and so her voice was getting all wonky. It was terrible. But yeah.
That's 100% somebody gave her cocaine or meth before she went on stage. No one does that. Second Blade, very good. We're introducing the Reapers here. They're vampires that eat vampires. There's like a whole twist story at the end where the Count Vampire Lord is everyone's dad and he betrayed everyone the whole time. It's good. It's a good one. You got some good stuff
That is a
throughout
good one.
Blade 2.
Second one's
At
probably
the
the
end
best
of
one.
Blade 1 builds...
It's the one that's directed by our boy GDLT as well.
Yeah, it is. That is GDT. And in Blade 1, like, you build and build and build towards the end, and it's all about this vampire becoming the blood god, and then he becomes the blood god, and he fights Blade, and Blade wins. So it's like, man, it feels like you almost build to this third act that should last a whole nother movie, right? Like, you build this bad guy, and then Blade just beats him. And he's supposed to be the strongest, most badass vampire in the whole world, but Blade's losing to, like, regular vampires, and he beats the Vampire Lord. It's just, the first one's meh. Second one, awesome, all the way through. Blade 2 is the jam.
I like to think of the Reapers as meth vampires.
They're definitely meth
They're
vampires.
like, they're meth heads. Like,
They call them, like, crackhead vampires at one point in the movie. They straight up, they're like, yeah, they're feral, like they're on crack. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, Blade 2 is awesome all the way through. There's a lot of comedy. Wesley Snipes has some great one-liners. There's that weird, fat Eastern European guy who he keeps tormenting throughout the movie, and that's really funny. And then there's Blade 3, which was actually so bad I had to turn it off. I thought that I was going to enjoy a little bit of early Ryan Reynolds pre-Deadpool, and I did not. Man, that was just horrible. Blade 3 is so bad, it's a wonder they didn't make Blade 4. I can't wait for the new Blade series to come out, whether it's a movie or series, what they decide to do with it. I think it's a movie. But I'm excited for more Blade. I felt like I should watch Blade and get some Blade in my body. It did not satisfy the urge that I still have for the upcoming Blade content.
Oh, then you didn't watch the TV show.
No, I didn't watch the TV show.
I think there's only like 1 or 2 episodes. But
That sounds so good.
yeah,
I
there
forgot that they had a TV show, but I remember that.
I think that so I bought these at Walmart because I love Blade. I love all 3. They're fantastic. I mean, the third one's trash, but like
Yeah, real bad.
the second one is the second one. No, the third one's the one that has Triple H though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, hell yeah. And
No, not hell yeah. He's
hell
so
yeah.
bad.
No, and the Vampire Pomeranians. Nah, dude, that movie is dope. That movie's great.
We're talking about the same movie. That's the really bad one.
I love that one. That was so good. No, the second one's hands down the best one. But yeah, I bought these in like a triple pack, and I think it had like the episode of the TV show included, and I was like, "What? That's so weird." But yeah, no, I love Blade. I can't wait for Mahershala Ali's Blade. Couldn't have cast it better. Wesley Snipes is amazing. That's a hard act to follow. And this is like one of the earliest Marvel movies.
That's really what I was looking for, was for Ali's, for something to just hold me over until his Blade. And I'm not sure if this did the trick. I'm still hungry for his Blade.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is one of the earlier Marvel movies, and it's rated R. All of them are rated R. So, like, there's so much swearing. So much swearing. But yeah, no, Blade. Good pick. Well, we're all rewatching, like, old stuff. I, myself, hit it with a zinger of my own. Starship Troopers.
What a gem.
Yeah, I don't know if we were talking about it, and then I watched it, or I watched it, then we talked about it. It has the best Busey, because he's the one that's in Starship Troopers. Neil Patrick Harris. Just such a good, I don't know, man. You've seen it, right, Drew?
Oh, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. You should watch this every few years.
It's funny you say that, because I've seen it recently streaming and things, and I've really considered giving it a rewatch. But
it holds up, man. Yeah, man. It's a fascist space society fighting bugs in space. It's dope. It's a solid sci-fi, and I just love it. I love it so much. It's classic. It's so classic. It's one of those good old, you're talking about popcorn movies. Like, I can just sit there and watch this movie. The second one, oh boy, second one. while interesting in concept, is not very good. The third
Aren't
one,
there a lot of them? A lot of the movie Starship Troopers, aren't there like a lot of direct to TV or something?
they started doing them later. The third one actually has the guy that plays Johnny Rico return. That one actually has some pretty cool stuff to it. I don't hate that one. It has some really dumb moments, but that one's okay. And then they started doing like a bunch of animated stuff too, and I didn't watch that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Starship Troopers 2 is like interesting. There's like a convict Marine locked up in a tower. They get isolated there with him.
Nope.
They have to let him out to like help them survive because the arachnids
Nope.
are coming. It's pretty interesting.
That reminds me of like Ghosts of Mars, that like 1999 like Pitch Black era of movies where you always had to have an escaped convict on your team.
Riddick,
Man.
yeah, man, nah, dude, absolutely.
I talked about it a while back, but I watched Ghost of Mars when I was doing my big Carpenter watch through, and man, that movie is rough.
Is that the
Yeah.
one with
A
zombies?
hard sit.
Uh-huh.
Is that the one with Mars zombies? See, like you would think I'd be all about Mars zombies, but no amount of zombies can save that movie. No amount of zombies.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
You could have revealed that Mars was just a bunch of zombies holding hands. Would not have fixed it.
Mars is just one zombie head.
Yeah. But yeah, Starship Troopers, I rewatched. If you've never seen that movie, check it out. Like, seriously, what's going on?
Starship Troopers 9 out of 10 easy.
I will talk about one more thing because Gary, you mentioned HBO Max, and I had a show that I started up watching on HBO Max, and I actually started this show because it's called Hacks. Have
I've
you
seen
seen
a
the
few
show?
episodes.
I was wondering, Gary, because this seemed like something that even if you didn't stick with it, would have been up your alley to start. My wife watched this when the first season came out, and she really liked it. And season 2 just dropped, and she's been wanting to watch it, but she's like, you should watch the first season, and we can watch the second one together. So I've been sticking to that, and I've been watching the first season. I'm a little over halfway through. I think it's 10 episodes. So I think I've seen 6 of them. But yeah, it's about the other thing about the show, because I had some interest because when the Emmys were happening last year, Ted Lasso was sweeping a lot of the comedy Emmys, but everything was between Ted Lasso and Hacks. Like Ted Lasso would win Best Series, and Jason Sudeikis was winning Best Actor, but Jean Smart was winning Best Actress at a lot of the award circuit for TV. And so anyway, I knew that it was pretty well received. So it's about Jean Smart plays a kind of like a legendary female comedian. I'd compare to like almost like a Bette Midler, like I don't know, somebody who's been around for a while and has at this point has a Vegas residency. But her act is getting kind of stale, I guess. So and she's looking at potentially losing dates. So she dates as in like calendar dates,
and it makes
not
sense if you
not
think about
romantic dates.
the time and the era in which she was a comedian, and the time now in 2022. There's not a whole lot of room for a mid-60s solo act white female stand-up comedian on Vegas. On the Strip. There's not a lot of room for that act. I totally understand the premise of that story too. It strikes as real, believable.
And then it does so basically it's then on the other end there's a writer who's in LA, and she has been like effectively canceled because she wrote a tweet that was considered controversial. And later as the show goes on, you realize that it may not have really been the tweet as much as she just is hard to work with. A lot of people don't like working with her anyway, but she's basically desperate for work. She can't get a job because of this tweet that she had previously sent out. And so she gets the job writing jokes for this comedian in Vegas, and it's all about kind of their relationship and how it grows. And I would say, Gary, you said you watched a few, so I don't know if you just weren't a big fan or why you decided not to stick with it, but I've actually been enjoying it. I think it's pretty solid. Jean Smart's really, really good in it. The girl who plays Ava is maybe less so. Like every now and then, I think she's an interesting character, but just sometimes I can see her acting on screen. If
She
that makes
is
sense.
sometimes she is gratingly millennial.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's a really good way to put it. But yeah, but overall, I'm really liking this show so far. There's some good supporting characters that show up, namely Christopher McDonald is a recurring character, and I really like him when he pops up in things. He's always going to be Shooter McGavin to me.
Yep.
But still, I like when he
Shooter.
shows up in anything.
I've seen that movie recently.
I liked Hacks, Drew. I think I watched maybe the first 3 episodes, and I can't say why I stopped watching it. It wasn't one thing in particular. It must have just been another series that came out that I was watching. I must have just jumped to something else instead before I finished.
It happens.
Yeah,
I
Hacks
think
might be, especially with a new season, it might be worth a rewatch. Annie and I both enjoyed it, especially because whenever I see a really snotty, rich white lady, I know that lady. You know what I mean? I grew up in a neighborhood with that lady. Sometimes my mom was that lady. Sometimes my friends' moms or other people to school or people who come to shop at the store with that lady. So I know that character, and I kind of in like Arrested Development, right? I really think that mom character is super funny. And so in this show, when there's kind of a rich, entitled, snotty, bratty old white lady, I think that's kind of a funny character for some reason.
But she has some good moments because she does have some moments of being a human, or where you realize she knows more than she lets on. Like she almost makes herself seem less capable in day-to-day life than she really is. And I don't know, I like characters like that are
The show's a
smarter
lot
than they
deeper
appear.
than Arrested Development, so it's. I'm sorry to compare it to that, but yeah, that's just that kind of character stereotype I was thinking of. But yeah, in Hacks, you get a lot more a rounded character with a whole life and trials and tribulations and growth from both of them.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say I recommend this show so far based on what I've seen. I'm not to season 2 yet, but I'll get there soon. But HBO Max kind of kills it with the half-hour comedies that they produce, because you've got Hacks and you've got. I know that Gary, you were a big fan of Our Flag Means Death. That came out earlier this year. Barry is currently on, and that's dark,
And Our Flag Means
dark
Death
humor.
got renewed for season 2, which was great news.
Yeah, but a lot of good shorter form comedies on HBO Max if you're into that.
Is that damn Michael Shea? Is that an HBO Max show?
Yes, it is.
I haven't seen that yet, but it's in its second season, and I like sketch comedy, so I need to watch that and report back.
I also like
Yeah.
sketch comedy. Maybe I should check that out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, no, sounds interesting. I don't know if it's my bag, but who knows? There is a show.
The reason, Jahan, if you would like Hacks, the reason you might like it is that it's a female-led cast, female comedian, female writers, and so it is really telling a story that doesn't get to be told as often, and you get to see the main characters kind of coming up against that wall, that glass ceiling that stops them from being able to go any further because they're female. So I think there's a lot to learn there, and there's a lot of value in that show.
And
besides,
it is a comedy, right?
Yes,
I do like comedies.
It's a dramedy, but it's also more comedy than dramedy, and it helps that the main characters are a comedian and a comedy writer, because their chemistry and their banter back and forth is very funny. They cast the girls well together. I'm sure that the actresses had to spend some time in rooms before they decided who had the best banter, but they feel great together.
That's dope. Definitely. I
I
might
like
check that out.
these things that are. I like when these things are self-aware. In this, like, obviously right now we are where we have an overabundance of content and things to watch and streaming services. Even in the show, we're like, I watched this on Netflix and this on Hulu and this on HBO, and so there's just so much new, and to be able to keep up with things, what movie stars or famous people have to do to stay relevant. And so I like that from this show. It's like, a comedian who's got a Vegas residency, but she's kind of fading. And what can I do to stay relevant? What can I do to still be in the spotlight? And she's somebody that doesn't have a problem with taking $100,000 to go do an endorsement deal at a new pizza shop. There's that kind of stuff within the show. So I don't know. I like that kind of thing where almost like celebrities being somewhat self-aware or
Behind the veil, what their lives are actually sort of like.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, sorry to talk about that for so long, but Jahan, talk about your last show.
Actually, so I remembered one last thing because you guys were talking about HBO Max. I forgot. I'm not going to talk about it long because I've talked about it before, but the Young Justice finally wrapped season 4. All I'll say is I liked it, and I thought I was ready for the show to end. But honestly, the final few episodes, I'm ready for more. I would like a season 5. I don't think we're gonna get it though. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. I did finish season 4, and it actually does tie up pretty nicely. Have you guys been watching Amazon Prime The Boys? You guys been checking it out?
Never watched a full episode of The Boys.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I would think that you would love The Boys,
I would
Drew.
think you would love The Boys.
Well, and I read the comics back in the day. Like, I bought some of the comics
Wow.
back over 10 years ago. So I was on board for the show, and then it dropped at a time where I just didn't have much time to watch TV, so I didn't watch season 1 when it came out, which means I didn't watch season 2 when it came out, and it's just, now we're on, season... Are we in season 3 or season 4?
Season 3.
3. So it's just been daunting. I just haven't.
After season 3 premiered, it almost immediately got greenlit for a season 4. So that's good news.
I saw that news.
So you guys haven't seen have you seen much, Gary?
So I stopped watching The Boys because of the content.
Because it is incredibly violent. And fair enough, man. Like, it is ultra violent. They like to make whole people explode, and you see all their parts.
Generally I can deal with some pretty bad cartoon violence, but the worse realistic violence is, the more off board I am.
Like, honestly, it's not even just how realistic it is. It's like who it's happening to a lot of the time. Like, it makes a pit in my stomach sometimes. Like, I get it. It is not easy. But season 3, so I've been watching season 3. Both of my parents love this show. And we've been watching. It's been super violent. The first episode has some interesting content that I wish I had not been watching with my mother. But hey, it was funny. My dad laughed. It was good stuff. But yeah, let me read you the description of episode 4. This is the synopsis. Tonight, streaming live exclusively on superporn.com, super subscribers, it's the hashtag Clash of the Dildos. Which of the 7 inspired dildos will crush the competition in this tip-to-tip challenge? Will it be the reigning champion Homelander's Star-Spangled Banger, or Starlight's Electrified Star Braider? Join us for the conclusion. That is not what's in the episode. That is not... A lot of stuff happens in that episode, and that's what they chose to wrote. The show is very funny. They go all the way. They always go all the way. But I really like the characters. I like what they're doing. I don't know how they manage to keep the deep in the show, because there's a whole SA thing, but they make him the clown. I don't know. It's just really weird. Homelander makes the Deep do something in one of the episodes. I was crying. It was so messed up. You know how he's like Aquaman, right? I don't know. So this is a spoiler, but Homelander makes him eat an octopus, raw, that is his friend. He makes him do it. It's really, really funny. And he's crying while he's doing it. It's good stuff. But
Yeah, it shouldn't be funny out of context. But yeah, he's the Deep is a sexual
The Deep is
assaulter.
a piece
So,
of shit,
that
yeah,
guy,
and they just constantly stick it to him. It's really
yeah, he
funny.
should have to eat his friends.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. But I don't know, man. Season 3 is fantastic. If you haven't watched the show, you should definitely check it out. Except for Gary, I understand. I do get it.
Yeah, there's some triggers for people.
A
There's
lot of
there's
triggers.
sexual assault. There's violence, suicides. There's a lot.
I'll go down a list real quick. There is ultra violence, regular violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, graphic sexual content that leads sometimes to extreme gore, oftentimes actually. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's just, man, oh man, be warned for sure. Trigger warning absolutely for this show. Don't watch it with your kids, but unless you're cool, unless you're a cool parent, then watch it with your kids.
And then your kid needs therapy, and no one knows
Maybe
why.
this show could cause your children to need therapy. I will say that. But yeah, season 3 started off. A lot of things have changed. The characters are all in different places. I'm not going to give too many spoilers in case someone does watch it. But they're all doing their own thing, and you really get deep into like the background lore of like what Vought was doing. Stuff starts finally coming to fruition. And Homelander, the guy who plays Homelander is so good at playing
His
a
performance is
psychopath.
Yeah,
His
I gotta give it to
eyes.
him.
I have never seen someone do crazy eyes like that. He looks unhinged. He looks terrifyingly unhinged constantly. That guy's killing it.
So he's somehow is just commanding, but he's also so arrogant and so hateable but believable as the patriot hero character. He really nails that role. As disgusting, as vile as he couldn't have been better cast. I don't think.
No, that guy kills it. I don't know. I love this show. I really think other people will too, but it is definitely not for everyone. Oops, I muted us. Okay, we're back. Yeah, good stuff. So that's all I've been watching. And we haven't really been, it looks like none of us have really been playing much new. I've been playing the same old games, so I guess we're gonna skip that part.
I've been playing so much Deep Rock Galactic, Jahan. I
Yeah.
got an achievement 0.0018% of players get for getting all of my characters to gold, and then not even a week later, I got my first character to platinum. I've completed literally every single step of the seasonal things for the seasonal terminal.
Yeah, it's
I'm
crazy,
like level 105 already, so I beat it. I beat Deep Rock this season. I'll report back with new stuff next season, but that's what I've been playing, and I'm still playing it even though it's all beaten.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played anything new. There's a lot of games that are coming out soon. I can't wait to talk about on the show.
Oh, I pre-ordered Darktide. I forgot to tell you, I pre-ordered Darktide.
Yes, Darktide from the creators of Vermintide is a Warhammer 40k cooperative horde shooter, much in the style of Left 4 Dead. But honestly,
September.
kind of better. Yeah, me and Gary will definitely be playing Darktide. What about you, Drew? Any interest in Darktide?
Nope.
Yeah. There's a new game from some people that were formerly of Game Freak called like Squire something, where you're like, it's like 2D, but then it goes 3D, which has been done before, but that game actually looks fantastic. And
I will say this, just regarding games, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, because at the time we're recording this, the Microsoft and Bethesda press conference or their event is tomorrow.
yes.
But by the time this episode drops, it will be a week ago, and we will have already done an episode specifically talking about that
Yes.
stuff. But just for right now, at the time of this recording, I would imagine there's going to be some surprise Game Pass drops tomorrow during that show. So there will probably be some new games that I will be interested in playing. I would
I
imagine.
wouldn't be
as part of that show.
surprised to see a new Outer Worlds pop up. The first one was really small anyways. It was a small game. It was quick. No one expected it. And it almost kind of felt like a teaser to a real Bethesda game.
It did, and I hated that.
You did hate it, and that's fine. But I think with that formula, they could release another one like that during a show kind of on the down low, where no one's really hyped about it, but people would like to have something to play in the meantime.
Yeah.
I know that they are working on a sequel. But I know they're also working on Avowed is coming from that same studio. So I would imagine we'll hear something at least on one or both of those games tomorrow.
Obsidian?
Yes.
Yeah. No, Avowed looks. Oh man.
How do I keep up with man? It sucks that this information's late for people who are listening. How do I keep up with the podcast or the information coming out tomorrow, Drew? Is there like a site I should be on, or like
they're doing a live stream? Like it'll be
YouTube?
streaming everywhere on YouTube.
You probably just look it up.
Noon.
YouTube then, okay, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's at noon. It'll be everywhere. I'm sure IGN will be streaming it. Xbox will be streaming it. You know, they'll all stream it at noon, and it's an hour. I think it's going to be 90 minutes long. It's mostly focused on games, and what Microsoft is doing. So yeah, I would imagine. I mean, anywhere you read gaming news or IGN or whatever, they'll have those kinds of articles that are like everything that was announced at today's Microsoft Bethesda showcase, but. I'll be watching the whole thing on YouTube from beginning to end.
Yeah, I'll probably do that too. I'll probably slap my TV on YouTube and start painting some more Warhammer stuff.
I'm so excited.
There you go.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. I just want Elder Scroll or Star Citizen news. That's all I want. But yeah, so
Those
not
games
much.
Those games are both so far away that I don't want to hear about either one of them.
You mean
Bro,
Starfield?
Yeah, Starfield.
Well, Starfield was supposed to come out in the fall, but it just got pushed to early 2023. So we're less than a year away from Starfield. Elder Scrolls 6, I mean, maybe we'll see you in 2025.
I feel so
2
bad.
more years.
I heard, Skyrim grandma? She's like a grandma that plays Skyrim. She's like,
Yeah.
She apparently was like, she like tweeted at them or said something in an interview where she was like, release it now. I want to play it before I die. And I was like, oh, that's really sad. And it made me start to wonder about like when I'm old, if I make it to old age, like, is there going to be a game where I'm be like, is that going to come out before I die? Like, that's
There is.
so weird to me to think. I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, well, now you have to think about it every single day because you might die every time.
I constantly
leave the
think
house.
about my mortality, Gary. It's you're not getting me here. I'm
That's
thinking
all
about it
right.
right now.
I'm hoping to get the listeners, not you.
Okay.
I'm hoping to end them on a note of
It's
mortality.
all going to end one day. You will no longer exist, except in our hearts, because we love you. Is that better? Does that help?
Yeah, I kind of like the first part of that.
Okay. Oh, what a morbid ending. Sorry. But yeah, we'll be talking about that Monday, and we're going to release a special episode. It's going to be fun. So that'll be out by the time this airs. So go back and listen to it if you skipped that one. We'll be talking all about Bethesda. Can't wait. I'm very excited. But nothing will excite me as much as Midnight Suns. So whatever. I think that's it for us. This has been Fresh Out the Podcast, episode 50. 50 episodes with my friends. It's been really nice. It's a great outlet. Been having a lot of fun. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Johananon, at RockFact on Twitter.
It's me, Casualty CDG. If you want to see tabletop role-playing game action, that's where Jahan and I make up things constantly. If you just want to see me and Jahan making up things, you can see that. 3 nights a week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, twitch.tv/Johananon. And I want to leave you guys with a thought. There will be a sequel to a game or a movie that you will die before you get to see.
That's fair.
Fair enough. I am Drew Munhausen at Drew Munhausen on Twitter. And as they said, thanks for listening to episode 50, Fresh Out the Podcast.
Don't die.
Don't die, stay fresh.